Hey, everybody. What's it like down there on Earth? What's it like down there on Earth? All right.
Woo!
Hear me?
I can hear you, man. Look at you showing your beard.
Yeah. It's getting hot here.
Oh, good.
It's like 90 today.
Oh, good, good. You guys are experiencing some
Nice
summer.
and muggy, shitty, sticky.
I see you're in your room that got looted again.
Yep. I
Yeah.
self-looted.
You self, yeah. Cool. Is that like self-immolation
There
or?
was a lot of stuff that I had that I really wanted to steal.
Yeah,
So-
like if you owe debt on your personal belongings, can you loot them from yourself? Oh, all right, all right. Look what you got from California. And to protect our sanctity of
We go.
invitation.
Is that a truly hard seltzer-ish thing?
Yeah. It's White Claw, even lower class.
Nice.
Cheers, my friend.
Why is this so quiet? Cheers. Is your mic turned up or is my volume turned up?
Well, my volume and mic are both pretty up.
All right.
I can hear you pretty well. Your voice is coming in loud and clear in my earbuds.
All right.
Dude,
Let's see.
a lot of shit going on in the world. I got some thoughts. Have you been thinking at all, or have you just shut your brain off?
Always thinking.
It's impossible not to think, right?
What are your thoughts about what?
Dude, this the world and the anger, and I'm thinking of making a video to, I know, of all things, promote a Joe Rogan podcast, a specific one. Because the one that he just did with Eric Weinstein sheds so much light on things that are going on, all the things that are going on, that it's like, I'm really happy to have been.
He seems like he's getting red pilled. Eric Weinstein.
Eric Weinstein, like red pilled, like he's like waking up to the delusion.
Yeah.
Well, he was
Breaking out of mental prisons.
Well, it's a funny thing. He actually started his career in finding something really, really important, but he got kind of cheated out of the discovery of it. And the thing he discovered is that laboratory mice's telomeres are artificially lengthened.
I heard that. It was that's like a huge deal that nobody talks about, right?
The toxicity of our medications makes a lot more sense now.
Because the original idea was test against mice that have similar biology to humans, but we're finding out that we've been testing on mice that in fact aren't like humans. Is that right?
Right. That's right, because their telomeres are so extended that they've been genetically chosen to have a short life, but be able to manage a lot of stress early on. So like mice always die of cancer. This is normal. Laboratory mice, pet mice, all the rats and mice you get, they all die of cancer. Big lumps. They just die that way. And we were doing all of these studies testing the toxicity of medications. Turns out that a lot of the toxicity was not being picked up because of these extremely long telomeres. 10 times longer than people. So all the toxicity the rats just kind of ate, I mean, they were able to cope with and keep going, and they called that good enough. And now there have been, as you know, sometimes medications go badly.
Wasn't that something that Brett Weinstein had uncovered, or was it Eric?
Brett did it. Brett's the younger one.
Right.
Less exciting hair. Pretty exciting hair still.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the younger one. He discovered the telomere thing, but there's way more than that. That's just like, and that is like such an expensive project to like unravel. If you were to really take all the studies we did of the medication and redo them with new wild mice, I'm imagining many medications would be pulled from the shelf. What the hell does that
We
even
can't
mean?
have that. We need more medications for everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's ironic when you watch, if you watch like the news, every commercial is pharmaceutical. That's not an accident.
Same thing when you're watching debates, political debates, every commercial is a pharmaceutical.
Yeah. It's a good hint telling you that it's all drugs, right?
Yeah, it's all drugs.
I'm sort of pro legalization of drugs, but some of the pharmaceutical stuff is just out of control.
The fact that you can call that legal, but a little plant can land you 10 years in prison in Texas still.
Yeah.
Come on. This is not what George Washington, who smoked pot, wanted.
Yeah, well, we toppled his statue, so we'll just forget about him. The one of the Nazis, I hate to jump into the Nazi analogy, but that was part of their program, was to basically eliminate the history of Germany. That's why they were raiding artifacts, paintings, historical sites,
Hoarding stuff,
burning books. They wanted to eliminate the past so they could start over and just kind of instantiate their own history.
I don't think it worked.
Again, it's ironic. There's just like too many ironies to count in current clown world.
Yeah.
But we have friendship and creativity and empathy, which are good.
Yeah, that's true.
Imagination.
This podcast episode that I'm feeling delighted about asking everyone I know to watch or listen to it, one of the things it does is it brings forward some kind of action that I think is possible, reasonable, and good. It requires some pretty bold thinking, but it really is what we need is a team of someone who is center right and someone who is center left to come and run together against Biden and against Trump.
Yeah.
To run for presidency, where the first 4 years one would run as president, the next 4 years the other would run. They would trade off president and vice president until someone else was voted in, or they had their 2 terms. Obviously not changing any laws or rules.
Yeah. So hard to break that 2-party system, though.
Say we did this. Say we ran I'm gonna fuck it up now, but there's this admiral, the guy who he recently chaired Texas State or Texas University. He was like chairman there. He was a naval Navy SEAL. He was leading the raid on Bin Laden. Generally liked by essentially everyone. This admiral who's like retired and not that old. He looks like a president. You look him in the face, it's like, oh yeah. And the other guy that Weinstein suggested for the center left character was Andrew Yang.
Right.
So Andrew Yang is center left. This admiral guy is center right. They run together.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So what they both have is they're both capable, they're both courageous, and they're both patriots. And those are the 3 things that Brett Weinstein was like, we need our new president to have those 3 things. They need to be capable, they need to be courageous, and they need to be patriots. It's like, I would take anybody with those 3 traits, essentially.
I mean, you could argue that we have that right now.
I think you could argue two of those things.
I mean, how much courage does it take to run for president and just be hated and put you're at retirement age instead of retiring, you lose a bunch of money, put your reputation on the line, knowing everyone's going to hate you. Take $1 a year salary. I mean, it takes some courage. You could say it's ego based or whatever. If we want to read if we wanted to read minds, we could get into, why. But
yeah, that's true.
It's still pretty ballsy. And
but one of the best measurements of courage, one of the things you see courageous people doing, is taking responsibility for their mistakes. This is something our current leader is incapable of doing. So it's like, it was always somebody else. It was always someone else's problem. It was the crooked this or the lion that. It takes courage to acknowledge a mistake. That's a sign that to me, without it, you sort of don't have courage. So it's like, I think what your point about running hated,
it could just be panache,
Yeah, I don't know if that takes courage. I would argue that I'm not sure that takes courage. Maybe other things do that I'm not aware of, but I think a clear indicator is that you can own up to your mistakes and move forward.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see how
a leader does.
I could see how that would be lacking current administration.
Yeah, so he is not courageous. He is a patriot. I would argue that he's a patriot, even though a lot of my friends would not like to hear me say that. I would argue he actually is patriotic.
I would say so, yeah.
And I would say that he is competent sometimes.
Yeah.
So that counts. I'm not competent all the time. I mean, fucking nobody is.
Yeah. It is, to me, it's funny when people say that he's incompetent, because
can't get there without some kind of competence.
Yeah, I mean, if you're succeeding in multiple separate sort of areas, and you go to number one each time you switch to a new thing, and you see Kanye do this. I would argue that you're the opposite of incompetent if you're doing that. You go into real estate and you're like the top. You write a book, it's the bestseller. You go to TV, it's the most popular show. You go to run for president, you get the top office. You could argue it's luck, but I mean, that's kind of
probably not.
It's the probability of it being luck is super small.
Well, think of the way our dear leader was raised in his childhood home. I mean, he was in a den of monsters. They were training him and his siblings to take over the world. It's why anyone's upset that he's hot off the tongue and quick and hungers for cash and approval. It's like, are you surprised? Like, duh. That's what would happen if Mr. Drumpf, his father, was my father. I mean, it was a den of monsters that they were trying to build through capital acquisition. I don't think we should.
How does the empathy fit into labeling them monsters?
I think that is the empathy for the people who are super virulently against this person and his family, is acknowledging that he was probably not raised in the way that, say, the person who's complaining was raised. He was probably raised very strictly. He was probably raised with monstrous rules and regulations and lack of love and discipline. I'm guessing,
Yeah, I don't know.
He's trying to empathize with how Donald Trump was raised.
So, and yet another irony of the whole thing is he's almost the prototypical immigrant living the American dream, right?
His grandfather immigrated, right?
Yeah, I think his grandfather was from Germany.
Yeah.
The dream is you immigrate to America, and then anyone can become president, right?
Pretty cool.
And so when we finally get that, we finally get the American dream fully realized happening in our lifetimes, right in front of us. Half the people are super pissed off about it.
Yeah.
And not seeing the irony of that position.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I hear that.
Also, his pastor growing up was Norman Vincent Peale, who who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking, and you can see the effects of that on his whole
It's kind of
his whole game.
Yeah.
He's just, I don't know his inner thoughts, but he seems to, always the optimist about everything. And I think to such a degree, like you mentioned, like almost pathologically so, where the responsibility for your own actions is almost not there, because it's like, yeah, that was the past. Okay, we're moving forward. Everything's going to be great. So there's sort of two sides to that.
When everyone made fun of him because he said we might use light to fight the virus, I was like, don't make fun of that one. I knew that was coming. I joked about vaping alcohol when everyone was like, oh yeah, you fucking idiot. Well, I said it first before I heard the president say it. I was like, we should be vaping alcohol. Seriously. If you get the Rona, don't go on a ventilator. Get wasted.
Right.
And then he said it, but it was different. But then he said light. We could use a very powerful light. And everyone's like, what are you fucking? They made fun of him on every channel. There's a company now that is building lights that go into ventilators that spray UV light into the ventilation system for that purpose. And it's working. So it's like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm all for talking shit on somebody, but I better be fucking accurate is the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm pro mockery for sure.
Yeah, but be accurate. Don't make fun of me because I'm short. I'm not actually short. Make fun of me for being tall.
Right. Yeah, you want the mockery to be. If you want the mockery to be good, you got to. Accuracy is good.
Unless you have hatred, and half of our country is on fire. They're lusting after the hatred of our leader. It's like, I bet in 40 years we'll look back and go, it was really just another one. It seemed like a lot at the time. It was just another president. Like, I don't think it
was a psyop. Well, I mean, again, the news is no help. I would be curious if there was like some kind of way to figure out, like some way. There's no way to figure this out, but whether the news makes you more hateful.
I think that sounds familiar. I think I've heard some studies that, well, maybe even studies, anecdotes that was like, avoiding your phone, avoiding the news, avoiding Twitter and these things, there was an amount of happiness that could be measured that was more. It's like it's true that if you don't learn about all the scary things, like, hey, lion, a lion could kill you, and that's why we watch the horrible news.
Yeah.
But so many things in the news can't actually reach us.
Yeah, I mean, how different would your life be if you hadn't watched the news for the past 4 years or something? Probably be exactly the same.
I'd probably be more lackadaisically happy.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
So why does Burning Man work? I mean, Burning Man isn't so anarchistic. There's still laws, right? There's
it's a different culture, and that word gets used in the wrong way too often. Like the police department's culture is way more subtle, and I don't know. It's like the culture of things that we want to change, like, police violence, versus the culture of something we don't want to change, like Burning Man. It matters what the intentions are of the people going in, and the reinforcement that's continual reinforcement of those intentions.
Yeah, and it might work because it's limited in its time frame. And
if Burning Man was really year round, it would take so much input of power, like just energy. It would take so much that it's like you'd have to be putting something out for it to be sustainable, which it could put out like art, but that's not sustainable.
What is the Chaz? What's their main export?
Hope. Chaz's main export is hope for those who are feeling like they are allied with the disenfranchised. But I think, and again, this is from the podcast, they explained it, that his opinion, and I think it's mine too, that the Chaz and the looting or the kind of like adjacent to looting stuff we're seeing now is Occupy 2.0.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought.
So this is really the Occupy movement, who's mad with the systemic setup of how this system truly is unfair. And it's not as if all of the whiteheads in America have like racism stuck in them now. That's not, I don't think, the primary problem. The primary problem is systems that were set up in the 1920s about, voting and neighborhoods and sources and school, like, that were pretty racist. Those systems are just, we've continued those systems. And so the people who are getting the most stomped on by the unfairness of our economy happen to be black and brown, although the systems were, that's not living racists we're fighting. It's like it's ghosts. They're dead. They're all dead. But it's true that there is a disproportionate of use of, like, there's these studies where in America, cops for, say, like the past 4 or 5 years have killed about 1,000 humans in the United States. There's about 10 million arrests in the United States in a given year. There's about 50 to 60 million police interactions. But as far as arrests, there's about 10 million a year. And out of those, there's about 1,000 people that die while under the arrest of police. 50% of those people are white people. So cops are killing way more white people than black people. And the other statistic that sucks is that black and brown police officers do the vast majority of the killing of black and brown people who are being arrested. So it's not even the white cops that are doing most of the killing of black and brown people. It is black and brown cops killing more of the black and brown people who are being arrested. But there's this other stat that sneaks right back into racism. And it is that when the black people are stopped, the incidence of violence is way higher than when white people are stopped. So it's like,
is that because of the cops or because of the person being stopped?
We don't know. Some killings are justified. Like if there was a cop that tried to arrest somebody who killed your family member and it was killed in the arrest, like that's a justified killing, supposedly, in our system. So it's like the fact that most white cops are like crazed, bloodthirsty murderers is so far from the truth. But the numbers prove it so clearly.
Right.
It's just, it is true that there is police violence. Unfortunately, it is mostly white people are the most killed by cops. So there's just that. It's twice as many as black people are killed by cops. But black people are killed 25% of the time anyone is killed by the police, and they only represent 13% of the population. So something weird is going on, but it is not blatant, personal, living people's racism. It's shitty systems we set up, or our country forefathers set up, that are pretty fucking racist when they set them up.
Well, I think any system that has people in it is going to be racist, because people are always racist, or at least, everyone is biased. So systems that rely on humans will have bias.
Resource-based resource-based economy. Oh, dude, you're sweating. I'm so happy to see you sweating in Massachusetts right now. It's cool. Today's a cool day. It's like chill right here now.
Yeah.
Let me take some of this evil, dark talk in the podcast for empathy and imagination, and let me just slip a little bit of imagination with a little bit of show and tell and taste for my friend Aubrey and our friends at home.
Oh yeah, that's purple.
What is the? Yeah, it looks kind of purple, doesn't it?
Yeah. Huh? That's the whiskey.
I did it. Remember last week I was all, I'm starting, it's going. Well, I started way too fucking late.
Way too early?
Late.
Oh.
Next time I do this process, I'm going to start at like 9 a.m. with, it on at 9 a.m.
Ah,
Because by 12:30, I'd gotten the heads, the hearts, and no tails. And I was like falling asleep trying to distill, watching some comedy show. I couldn't do it. So I actually threw out all the tails. So I have less total and I'm missing some flavors, blah, 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 blah. This is delicious, dude. I've had this oak in here a couple days, maybe, about a week. And for our audience, I wish you could be tasting it, but instead I'm going to have a wee taste in front of us.
okay.
Because life isn't all about suffering and pain, It's about joy and celebration.
Yeah.
And yes, I am privileged that I can celebrate and have joy. It is also a choice. I could be pissed off. I could be not having this phone call with you. I could be just holding a crying baby and sad that nobody likes me or wants to come over.
You can choose to resist arrest.
I won't. I'm not going to do that.
Or you can choose not to resist arrest.
I won't, because they have a right to use deadly force against you, especially me, because I'm going to be bigger than most cops. It's like they're afraid of me. If they're trying to stop me, I'm just going to let them take it, and I'll fight in court. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there is a small percentage problem where people don't resist arrest and they get murdered by the cops.
Right.
That is like, hey, fuck you, cops.
Fucked up.
So this is first whiskey on the podcast for Empathy and Imagination, builds here in house. I'm not going to shoot it. It's too strong. Going to taste it. Ooh.
What is
Smooth.
the proof?
The proof is 55 proof. Standard whiskey's 40.
Mm.
So this is like homebrew shit. You know what I'm saying? Wow.
Nice.
I put nothing in it. It was just a beer mash you saw me do. You saw the color of it. It's basically this color, which it came out like this. This is part of the heads. It just comes out totally crystalline clear.
So what do you do with that?
This actually I saved off because Rebecca, this is hyper strong. This proof is like 65 proof. So this is for like magic spells. And today is actually a magic day. Today is the new moon. It's like a solstice and something else all happening at once. And they're going to use the super strong shit to make like extracts you can use for maybe food, but probably mostly like magic spell stuff. Just, it's basically like I made a cool thing and she's like, ooh, save some super strong stuff for me so I can make a tincture basically. I don't know, a jasmine tincture. Who knows? This is sweet, smooth. It's weird. When you taste it, it's almost like you get like vanilla and cinnamon a little, but the cinnamon's pretty mild. It's more like horchata than cinnamon.
It's not like Fernet.
No. This is damn good. I'm proud of myself. I wish you could be enjoying it now. I wish our listeners and watchers at home could have a little taste. And I'm going to make more, so who knows?
So how much was actually produced? A liter?
This thing is 1,500 milliliters.
Okay.
Which is probably about 2,200. So, I had some more before. We drank some.
It was like 2 liters?
I bet if I take a 5-gallon mash, the final product should be something around 1.5 gallons, which would be about 4 liters or 4.5 liters.
How much did it cost?
About $35.
Okay. Not bad. That's like what a handle usually goes for, right?
Yeah, that's like the price of an okay handle, and it's homemade.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
So yeah, so this is there's some empathy and some imagination for you right there. Is not only do I make beer, I make whiskey. Woo! Dude.
Have you thought of any solo bike camping?
Yes, I've thought of it. You see it right there? Looking at me? See that right there looking at me?
Yeah.
It's not total accident that both of those are in shot.
Yeah, mine got looted. It was back there.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's gone. You looted it.
It was right there.
Ah, you had it hanging and then it fell. I didn't see it. Okay. I thought about it, man. I thought like, yeah, what if I just do it, go by myself? I'm like, man, what about like when I'm sad or lonely or get lost or,
Yeah.
and I get there and I'm carrying the fire and I start the fire and I go, hey, did you hit?
Yeah. And it's safety wise, it's like,
It's like half as safe because if I get hurt, you call for help, we're fine.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like super afraid. That's not like what's stopping me.
Yeah.
I would say the bulging disc is probably my primary concern as far as thinking I could do long distance cycling. That still I'm not so sure about. But yeah, man, I think about it.
What about Tim?
Yeah, he's down. He's down.
Not the
Tim
same.
it's not the same. It's not the same because Tim is like he's Tim. He's sweet. He's intelligent. He's straightforward. I mean, he's nice. Uh, yeah, but he's not going to argue me about well, he will argue me about the philosophy of our current culture, but he'll go like the other way. He'll be like, I'm not woke enough. Aubrey, you're really not woke enough. I'm almost woke enough, but he's just barely woke enough, I think.
He's what is it? Protest folk?
That's right. That's his genre, protest folk. It's cool.
Yeah.
Fine. It's like we need it out there, and
I celebrate a diversity of views.
yeah. And I'm gonna probably. It's so funny. I don't know if the musicians will totally understand this, but Tim wants me to record some drums for like the last third of a song he's doing. But he doesn't want me to use the good sound of drums I have. He wants me to take the drum kit and shrink it to MIDI and then record a MIDI track that he can then change the sounds of and edit the timing of later. And I'm like, you don't need a drummer.
Yeah.
You need a drum machine. That's what you need.
Yeah. Can he just sequence that shit?
Well,
Or just get a keyboard and map it to the drum sounds and just sit there. Dun, 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 dun.
I gave him a
We've
drum
all
kit.
done that.
He has a
No
drum
shame
kit.
in that.
I gave him an electronic drum kit. He can do it himself. He's just like, no, I want a drummer, but I want to totally control what it is. But it's like, oh, I basically don't want to do that. It's like, I guess I will, but it's like, why? Why have me learn the song? Why? And then
I want to take your creative expression and just suck all the creativity out of it.
Yeah.
All the personal Drew stuff I want to remove.
Right. But especially, I don't even want to keep the sound. Like I paid for this drum kit. He's like, no, I don't want those sounds. I want beeping noises I can edit later.
Hmm.
And it's like, this is a funny thing. And I hope he watches this episode and gives me a call because I have no secret from Tim.
Yeah.
Love you, Tim. It's basically like, I know that Tim has been seeking, and this is more empathy and imagination. Tim's been seeking protest folk partners, and he's been really adamant about what their race and gender is. And he's like, I just don't want a bunch of white guys in this band. I want to have mixture of different people and genders, just not white dudes. I'm like,
right.
That's a little racist, but whatever. I mean, do your thing.
Well, again, everyone's biased, right? I mean, you go on OkCupid and you have to be 6 feet tall, no baldies, no fatties. So everyone has preferences, and let's stop pretending that we don't.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Good point.
But the diversity quota shit, it's like.
But his thing is he wants everyone to do. He wants to be the writer with like almost no to very, very little change from anyone else. He kind of wants other people.
He wants hired like studio musicians.
But he wants them to be people of color. And he wants them to do it for free.
Yeah.
But he wants to pay them if it's successful, obviously. Fairly. I mean, he's not like a thief. It's funny because if you were to like say these optics in 1960, they'd be like, what are you talking about? What is your goal?
Yeah. But that's why Jimi Hendrix Experience, originally it was him and I think Buddy Guy and Buddy Miles. And then one of the record execs was like, you can't have a rock band with 3 black guys. We need to have 2 like white dudes with you.
Yeah.
And that's why, the guy who was a guitarist became the bassist for that band. That was why the Jimi Hendrix Experience was the way it was exactly for those.
They pushed
reasons.
a couple of white dudes into it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Does that land in your world as? How does that land in your reality? That the executive.
Well, I guess it's all marketing, so it's fine. I mean, the fucked up truth is like, Tim would probably get more attention and have more sort of, woke credentials, woke cred, right?
There's already a teacher in the East Bay, which is like, I don't know. He's kind of near the peak. He's a teacher.
But I mean, in some sense, having, like, isn't it? It's just a weird thing. I don't know.
It is weird. That's why I think it's good to discuss like
It's almost like contradictory.
It's funny how much the hyper woke left, if you switched out a couple of the words, it sounds like the racist right.
Yeah, like
I only want this race of people in my band. It's like, okay.
everyone should be treated equal, but I need this specific type of person in my band.
So
I'm curious of what the motivation is. Is it just, if it's a marketing thing, like I'll get more attention? That's one thing. If it's like, no, they don't have the opportunities and I'm giving them the opportunity. Isn't that condescending? So I don't know.
I think he actually is leaning more towards the second. But like, I know something.
That there's not enough opportunities and it's up to the white man to
give opportunities
to save those lesser people.
Right, which is fine. And when you ask like really, really high up scientists about race relations, like that's pretty insulting. Or actors, like lots of professionals who aren't white, or like that's some pretty insulting stuff. So, but it's not fully visible yet. So,
it's his band. It's a creative thing. I think he can do whatever he wants. I'm down with it.
He said he spent too much time playing other people's music, like basically being in a band just to be in a band to play someone else's stuff. And he's like, no, I have this cool stuff. And he does. He has really cool music.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy to be his drummer. And I've played live with him. I've recorded with him. I've entered contests with him. I will do that. I don't care. It's fine. Like, I don't care. I'd rather just make music.
I don't care.
I don't care. So we'll just make
whatever whatever you want to do. If you're not hurting anybody, I don't care.
Yeah. Back to that. Back to like, even if Tim's ideas aren't exactly mine, like he isn't hurting anyone. And if he asks me to play drums, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's one difference you see a lot of lefties and basically people on the left. They're all about like telling you what you need, what you can't do, what you can do, what you can't say, what you need to do, what you need to think. You need to sort of approve of all the items.
Yeah. Which I almost approve of all of the items on the leftist checklist.
Sure, me too. But it's the you have to do this.
Yeah.
Shit that I can't stand.
Doesn't fly. It's
like
un-American.
how about you leave me the fuck alone?
Yeah.
Like that.
It's un-American to say your politics should be mine. That is very un-American.
Right. Well, that would be almost, again, ironically, totalitarian, authoritarian, right?
Yeah.
Censoring people's speech, getting them fired for their opinions.
Or there's a soccer player.
It's like thought crime.
There was a soccer player in Europe. I don't have the details. His wife tweeted something like "men aren't women," and he got fired.
Right. And another irony is that the people who fired him probably are anti-bully. Right. So it's fucked. Like in the current clown world, upside down world that we're in,
You said the golden age was coming. Where the fuck is that?
There is, yeah, it's just some growing pains.
Hmm.
There's just like no end to the ironies, contradictions. Golden age is here, man. The golden age. This is where the war is won. It's all in your mind.
Well, then maybe we need to be good examples. And I mean, for example, I am so excited for on a regular basis. I don't even know how else to encourage you. I'm like, do it on the show. Do it right now. Pick it up. You doing it?
Yeah, it's like insecurity, man.
Insecurity. Yeah.
Well,
Is it-
it's insecurity, but it's also I think it's also ego. Like, uh, ego is a huge impediment to fucking doing anything. Like,
It's also the only driver of doing anything, everything.
yeah, exactly. So,
My
ego is a tool, and it's a lifelong program to like figure out just how to dial in the right settings for your ego. So, regular basis is like, well, I don't want to make a fool out of myself. And the other side of me is like, who cares, right? Um,
Well,
so
Aubrey,
yeah, it's like insecurity with ego shit.
I'd like to acknowledge you, friend,
No,
as
no,
being
excuse
one of the coolest, most harmonized people that I know. And you
Thanks, man.
clearly have the ability to be critical thinking, including of your own thoughts, and you'll update your software, and you've got good systems going. It's like it's evident by your home is lovely, your partner, it's just your job. Like you're clearly doing well. You're succeeding at life.
Thanks, man. I
Thanks.
think it's hitting rock bottom is part of that journey. Not like just like financially being totally strapped for a few years, a couple years ago. Um,
Totally
it's such a shitty feeling, and so anger is a great motivator. And I think I just got super pissed at myself for like just not being responsible certain aspects. But it's all practice. It's all learning, incremental improvements.
So should we start a man school? All the things they don't tell you in high school about like a checking account and about watering plants, about how to talk to women, stuff like that.
I think a lot of people would respond to that positively.
How do we get people
There's
like
a lot of people who sort of have internet dads,
what's that?
or like
What's an internet dad?
like maybe their dad sucked, their parents were shitty, and they on YouTube or Twitter or something.
Oh,
maybe
the TV
maybe you
dad.
can find like surrogate, parents that you can learn from, people that you can learn from, mentors, colleagues.
Okay, so then like people would build their personal self identity out of people they saw on YouTube, basically, Facebook. That's not the worst thing ever. Could be worse.
I think a lot of people look up to like, Joe Rogan, for example.
Yeah, I do definitely. I see him as like an uncle character in my life. I mean, not as a father figure. He's not that much older than me to
No.
be a father, but he's more
He's
like
kind of like a, not really even a mentor, but like a peer almost.
yeah, he's more peerish in his like questioning and rabid cannabis consumption, and he's just like a dude. Yeah. He's a dude who's in
He
LA.
seems pretty balanced dude. And he's a perfect example of just like trying shit and just succeeding, just throwing himself into these different things and just like becoming really good at them.
What else?
Oh yeah, people. I think a lot of people would respond positive. I mean, just look at Jordan Peterson. A lot of people responded positively to him, and he's not saying anything that's like totally new. It's just
He was already, he was.
packaged in a very appealing way, and a lot of people are looking for advice.
Jordan Peterson was coaching up and coming women in Canada who are struggling to build their career, and he would coach and train them on how to advance in a male dominated world, and he knew that was true before any of this happened. And the big complainers of Jordan Peterson have been like women and people in the trans community, thinking he was anti-women and anti-trans. But if they only knew how he spent his time.
Yeah, they usually don't. They just
You're barking
go
up
for the
such a
easy
long
tack.
wolf. It's just, you cried tree at the barking wolf. He's not your enemy.
Yeah.
Trans and women feminists, Jordan Peterson is not your enemy.
Yeah.
He's basically a feminist. He basically is. It's just not the brand you like. And I'm probably a second wave feminist. I think that's where I stop. I think I agree that there is systemic things against women. Of course, that's evidenced by this women's suffrage movement, that they had to fight to vote, blah, blah, blah. It's not blah, blah, blah. It's true that women have been commercially and systemically oppressed, expecting them to raise children and clean house. When some women don't want to do that. Some women want to go own companies and fly to fucking Mars. And I think that that should be encouraged. And it wasn't always. It is also true, a lot of women want to take care of their children in their home. This is not a sexist statement. This is a fact.
Well, what's great about that is in our clown world, upside down, rotting mannequin for president world that we're in.
Right.
There's
in the wind with wisps of hair.
Just flash falling off.
He's too old.
In the current cancel culture bullshit, who can't be canceled? Housewife.
Right.
House husband, whatever you want to, whatever you want to call it.
And there are both. And I have clients who they're
uncancelable, way happier. It's like.
I have this stay-at-home dad. I'll say his first name. His name's James. And I first got there, and I met the pool, and I met him, and he was talking to me about the pool. I was like, oh, just in conversation. Oh, hey, what do you do? He's like, I'm kind of a stay-at-home dad. The mom works high level. She's doing great. They're fine. They live in Orinda. They're great. Dad stays at home. Kid raises a little boy. It's dad and little boy together. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's great.
There's
no one can fucking cancel him from doing that. No one can get him fired for doing that. So it's almost like, hey, maybe we were onto something for all those thousands of years that we were taking care of our kids at home.
Yeah.
Maybe it worked. I don't know.
We would do good. If you're going to push anyone up, it might be like stay-at-home moms. Right?
Well, yeah. Now, you sound like me talking to you 4 years ago.
Yeah. You know what happens when
my work here is done.
You know what happens when you remove men from a population? You can this is known, it's measured, it's been many populations where we've removed the men. Guess what happens?
Bad things.
Yeah, the families fall apart. The women are disadvantaged because they have fewer men to choose from for mating and dating. They have to accept horrible things for mating and dating. They no longer have the power to control. It's almost equally an anti-woman movement to have so many fathers locked in prison.
Yeah.
And we have the largest incarcerated population of any country, equivalent to our size.
Yeah, it's an outrage. That's why. That's one of the big reasons why I think drugs should be legal.
Yeah, that actually cuts 65% of that right off.
I'm I'm skeptical about systemic racism. I do think it exists. It's just there's a lot of different opinions about how and what it is and all that stuff. But the incarceration for nonviolent offenses is just crazy stupid.
Yeah. If you get caught with a crack
the war on drugs is it's just a chimera. It's just a ghost. Just like war on terror, just a ghost. Yeah. Something that can never be proven to be over.
Right.
So then you can just do it forever.
This is why some of the liberals are angry at the state that they also fund that secretly is owned by the Democrats and the Republicans together, and they work together. So it doesn't matter which rotting mannequin you vote for. One of them's 74, one of them's 77. Fuck that.
We have an age
In their 40s or 50s. Like somewhere between 35 and 60, we got to have somebody in there.
Yeah, we have an age minimum. I think we should have an age cap.
Oh,
Now you could argue that the age cap could be like maybe variable, like so that, you know, let's say in 100 years or whatever, people are living to be 200.
So it would be, yeah, we would
Maybe the cap could shift.
longer. Yeah.
But it's I mean, having a 74-5-year-old, that's too old. Too old to begin the training. And it's not to say that there can't be people who are all there when they're in their 70s. It's just, it's more just as a filter for future, you know,
Let me
possible mistakes.
well, that as the age increases, I don't know if anyone's done this yet. There's probably a video where someone has Joe Biden at 30 talking on camera, and then Joe Biden at 35, and then 40, and then 45, and it's fine. But Joe Biden at 55 and 65, and so there's probably a video that shows him going blah, blah, at the end of it, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so that is built in statistically. And I met this guy at Pool Water Products who owns his own pool company. He personally has been cleaning pools since 1958 and currently cleans pools and is 85 years old and looks better than my 65-year-old father-in-law, hands down.
He's just out in the sun every day, just moving around.
He's like, he has shoulders and he's 85. Like, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's in the sun. He's got his shades on. He's worked. He had employees before, but he stopped that. Now his son works with him a little bit. His son's probably fucking 60.
Right.
And this guy's 85. And he's like, when you look at him, there's like, he has this like question face when I was like, when did you start? How long you been doing this? He's like, oh, 62 years. And it's like, he looked confused about like why would I slow? Like he was like,
right.
I'm making too much money to stop, and it's still fun and it keeps me alive. So they're gonna have to drag me out of one of these places, basically. And he's making a lot of money because he told me he has 12 commercial clients. He has the same amount of clients I have, but he has many of his are commercial, like apartments, hotels. And those pay out the ear because they don't have time to think about it at all. They just fully hand it off.
Yeah.
And so he has a bunch of those, and they're a pain in the ass. But he's like, yeah, making a lot.
That's great.
Working 4 days a week, 6 hours a day. And he's 85, and he's no starts to slowing down. And it's like, well, fuck, is that what I'm going to do? I'm going to do pools for 50 more years? It's like, yeah, have money and be safe, not rich, but like a tradesman. If you work essentially full time as any tradesman, you're gonna be okay. Like, oh yeah,
plumber,
electrician, plumber.
Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Maryland. Her husband's a electrician. Just fucking.
They're fine. He's making $80,000 a year. You know what I mean? It's like, or more. And
I think probably more, even like 120 or something for some plumbing.
Yeah. There's I mean,
everyone's gonna shit into a fucking pot, and there's gonna be a pipe. The pipe's gonna be loose. The shit's
gotta go somewhere.
Out. Yeah. Sorry. What are you saying?
Everyone likes shitting indoors. Everyone is addicted to shitting indoors, and that's not going away. Same thing with shoes. Actually, if you're a shoemaker. Like, how are you? Like, when would people not need shoes? Even if we all like were sitting Indian style in the grass, we'd still want Vibrams. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no way that shoes are going out. Everyone's gonna shit. Everyone needs shoes. Probably everyone needs a hat.
Food, hat.
Yeah, like, these are like basic companies, and then half of the world needs this, at least if not more, and 3/4 of the world needs this.
Yes, for
3/4
sure.
of the planet uses this product.
I think like a third of the planet doesn't have a sense of humor.
Huh. Speaking of that,
And I mean that like literally. Um,
yeah, I know. Like mechanically speaking, in their brain, like they don't.
yeah.
It
Oh,
isn't.
but talking about the Biden when he was younger and
Oh yeah, yeah.
different, you've probably seen videos of Trump when he was younger, and he's like kind of subdued.
He's
He's
sharper
he's
than
not
he.
always shouting.
Well, he's sharp. He's subdued. He's calm. He's cool. He talks about it like this. It's no big deal. Yeah, I may have
Well, I think
one
that
day. I would only do it.
yeah,
He was like cool, like COOL, cool,
yeah.
smart, like together. Now he's like, "Ah!" It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Cheers to our
Cheers.
president.
Everyone's like he sucks at communicating,
Well, he
and I
thinks
think to
he's
myself, so often things that seem like the worst of something are actually the best of that thing. And that might be an example, like, oh, he's the worst communicator. And you could see an argument that says maybe he's actually the best communicator
of
because
what and to who.
he's very persuasive, whether or not, and he garners all attention to him, whether or not you like him, they're still paying attention to him. And persuasion is all about attention. And so there's weird situations where saying something is the worst of X, oftentimes that looks the same as being the best.
Well, he says things.
It's just your frame on it that dictates that. That's
Well, he
kind of
says, I'm the least racist president ever.
right. Right.
Who's he convincing?
Doing his hyperbole, which he always does.
Right. Who's he convincing? You know, like what state least? Like, there's no way for him to know that. There's no way for us to measure that.
Right.
He's mind reading. I mean, it's a statement of gloating that is so, like, MAGA. The last A again is such a finger in the eye of the people of color community who've, many would argue, it's never been great. So it's like there is a bit of a.
It's never been greater, and there's never been more opportunity for people of any skin color or background.
Of course, that's totally true, and that will probably continue. It didn't have to say again.
Right. No, I get why people find it insufferable for sure. And if you look at it like from a marketing perspective, where no publicity is bad publicity, right?
Right.
He's a master at that. He's a master at having everyone pay attention to him, look at him, focus on him, and he uses that to his advantage. Whether or not you agree with his position,
even if I do, even if I think a handful of the proposals he's put across, I've been like, I thought of that, or that's actually a cool idea, which I think is true. I think a handful of things that he's said on the clip I've seen have been like, oh yeah. I think it's still probably true that he's not going to win a presidential election anytime soon.
I mean, the ventriloquist puppet, I don't know if he'll last.
Regardless of the rotting mannequin that we think is normal, I don't think. I think he's broken enough relationships and burnt enough bridges. Now there is not. He could have only burnt not enough and still been reelected. It's my opinion he's burnt more than enough to not be reelected, with his callous, impersonal hatred of anything but attention on him. It's like there's that
mind reading there, but
there's that. I would also say no president has ever been reelected with 18% unemployment.
That's true.
So if you put the unemployment, the government's reaction to the pandemic, and him being the leader of the government,
Yeah.
that I think it would be really hard. You have to also remember that when he went against Hillary, everyone hated Hillary.
Right. You brought that up last time.
So
So
it's like,
what
yeah,
about this? What about this frame? What about the
Okay.
COVID epidemic is actually a strategy to not get Trump reelected?
I've thought of that.
Like,
Not that
what if it's
far-fetched.
all a psyop?
Even if it's 10% a psyop, which
Mhm.
that's all it would need to be. Even if it was 90% legitimate, and they just pushed it 10% more because they knew it would hurt us, I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm already there.
And so I'm not saying that I believe that because
I do. I already do.
I'm too squirrely in my beliefs to
Ah.
pin me down. But there we go. You know, empathy is part of the program here, and so it's like you have to try to see things from the different frames that people use. I think we talked about this last time. If you've taken psychedelics, you know that reality is just construct in your head. Other people can have vastly different beliefs than you, and they function in the world just the same way you do. And it doesn't matter if they believe in Allah, Christ, or Joseph Smith.
Actually, has no bearing on your survivability. Even with the evolutionarily speaking, no, having a true concept of what's happening has no bearing on your fitness to survive.
Right. Yeah. Like, we don't need to understand reality. We just need to be able to procreate and sort of navigate, risk.
Very much
Not
so.
get killed by the bear, protect the child, die, and let it all go, happen again.
Be grandpa, die.
Right. Be grandpa, be great grandpa, die. So, filters, mind filters, and mind prisons. It's like a huge leap. Maybe there's some teaching opportunities there.
Recognizing a personal mind prison or a group mind prison one is in.
Yeah, and just realizing that your mind is where almost all the battles are won. All of the reactions that you have, all the energy you project, your whole reality, your whole self. It's really just a guy in the cockpit of your head controlling this meat robot.
You're sort of controlling it. I actually don't think I have full control over this meat robot.
Yeah, I don't think free will exists. I mean,
Probably
physics, there's physics happening all around you. And Newton's laws and stuff. And
you can see the
physics doesn't just end when it gets inside your skull. So physics is still happening inside your skull, which means that there are predictable responses with electrical impulses can be predicted what happens. So it's hard to get away from the idea that any sort of electrochemical object like the human brain is deterministic in a certain way. If you start it off with certain inputs, it'll produce certain outputs. I don't think there's like magic going on inside our heads.
How do we, the consciousness, I mean, the greatest argued question of very wealthy people in Berkeley and at the CIIS Institute and India. They travel back and
forth. The greatest problem with humankind, consciousness.
Right. So, I mean, how you squeeze that into your theory there?
I don't know. In some ways, the solipsistic view fits very nicely with the simulation hypothesis.
But can solipsism let go of the personal importance?
Solipsism's like everything that I see and experience just exists in my head.
Right.
When I die, there will be no more universe, no more Earth, no more Drew.
It's an egoic position.
Right. And there's no way to disprove it. But it also fits with the simulation hypothesis. And the simulation hypothesis is very much like creationism, weirdly enough, just a different sort of name.
Yes. Yeah. I hear that. Yeah.
And tech is almost a new religion.
Which I'm on board for. I want to go to Mars, Aubrey. I want to travel in evacuated magnetic transport.
Oh yeah.
And I want to eventually fucking teleport to see my great grandkids on their birthday. You know what I mean?
I'd go to Mars in a heartbeat. I think I told you that. Your video is frozen.
Your video is frozen.
Is it?
Now it's
Oh,
unfrozen.
no, it's not.
We're good? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'd go to Mars.
Yeah, but what about your lovely lady? Is she going too?
Well, it might be like a retirement trip.
Like a one-wayer?
I would do a one-wayer. It'd have to be the right.
Whoa!
It'd have to be the right circumstance, though.
With your girl.
Yeah. Well, think about the Pilgrims too. Like, that was a one-way shot.
Yeah. That's a good point. But I'm with multiplanetary species. I'm like, if I'm working for someone, it should be Elon Musk.
Yeah. I'm surprised there aren't more Elon Musks.
Yeah. Why is there one? I mean Richard Branson.
Yeah, that's true.
You could say, but they're not. No, they're pumping dinosaur gasoline jets through the air. Richard Branson's not trying to save the world. He's trying to go to space. And then Blue Origin from Amazon, Bezos, he's trying to go to space too. There's 3 competing space companies, and NASA's been refunded. So it's like
they have so much money, and there's like so many billionaires, but so few billionaires that have like visions. You know, Elon Musk, like reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and reading the Foundation series as a kid, and he's like, "Fuck, no one else is doing this stuff, so I guess it'll just be me." Like, I'm just surprised that there aren't more sort of visionary big thinkers like that. It's inspiring.
Yeah.
But I guess there's really nothing in space. But there is a lot of economic potential in space, right? With all the mining and finding asteroids made of diamond. You could easily, I think, once people realize how much money is to be made in space, then it'll be a feeding frenzy. I mean, and that's sort of the shitty part of capitalism and the good part of capitalism.
Yeah.
Combined,
The cost of mining space, asteroids, and meteorites, like
it's astronomical.
We need to know.
Sky high. Yeah, the cost is insane, and
you would need to bring down a fucking freight train of gold for it to make sense, because diamond is not valuable. Gold is.
Gold is still valuable.
Gold you can make iPhones with.
I think it could be obsolete though eventually.
I think we need coltan. I think we need carbon. I think we need copper. But copper might be more valuable than gold.
Yeah.
What do you think this computer is filled with? Copper, whole thing. Wires.
You shoot like robots to Mars, and what they do is they mine and start creating other bigger miners. So you just have this automated, self-replicating system where you're just mining shit from Mars and pumping CO2 into the atmosphere for like 50, 100 years, eventually get it somewhat terraformed and just slowly
mining Mars would make it terraformed, sort of.
Yeah.
What are we mining from? What does Mars have that we need on Earth? And what happens if our planet weighs too much? Can we be an overweight planet? I'm afraid if we
are an overweight planet. The average weight of the American woman is like 180 pounds. So we're overweight already.
That's high. What if we mine asteroids and all the other things, and our planet gets all this other mass from other asteroids and stuff on it? We're spin away from the sun.
I think
we should start a cult based on that now. Come on, hurry. Is it www.spinawayfromthesun.com? Is that available?
I can see that. I mean, that would just take up so much energy. I mean, so much, so much energy, so much engineering. I mean, what's the biggest thing that humans have built?
Well, we've imagined a Dyson sphere. That's the biggest thing we've imagined.
Yeah, like
But even
Eiffel
a Dyson ring, which
Tower.
is not called a Dyson ring. What's it when it's just a strip? Aubrey, a different person came up with that. What is
Oh,
it?
well, there's the novel Ringworld by Larry Niven,
Yeah.
where
Well, it's
that
not
was
a sphere. It's just a strip that you would live on.
just a strip. Yeah. So it was a strip. So star, strip, and then between the strip and the star were like
That could do day and night.
plates, like 2 plates here, 2 plates here, and so you'd simulate day and night on the Halo. And that's what the game Halo takes place on, a ring world.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, that's why it's called Halo, because it's like a surrounding a star.
I used to enjoy that game. I remember when I was in the final stages of me like letting go video games in high school. Halo was like pretty fun. But then
That was pretty cool.
I quit games. I totally stopped playing games. I mean, computer video games, because I was like, I need to make money and meet chicks, and learn things.
Well, if you're a chick, you can definitely make money playing video games.
On Twitch.
Oh yeah, it helps if you have a rack, a nice.
If you're a chick with a
Cleavage.
rack, you can play. You can take my drum kit and do a YouTube channel. And what are you drumming? I don't know. Are your tits bouncing? Sure.
Easy. You have life. Life is on easy mode for attractive women.
And that is actually a privilege that is hardly talked about, which is attractive woman privilege,
Yeah. Be careful.
which goes on every race.
I don't want to get banned from YouTube.
If you have a girl from whatever the sub-Saharan Africa, and she's smoking, and she's 5'10", and she walks up and asks for help, everyone's gonna help her.
Yep.
If a troll woman from Carolina, 4'30", 5'2", comes up and asks for help, some people are going to ignore her.
Yeah.
Some people are going to help her.
Well,
That's
should I resent you because you're taller than me and you're not balding? In the new victim paradigm, I guess I have a little more victim points, oppression points than you.
You're white, but I'm taller, and I do technically have my hair still.
And you're younger, so I resent you for that too.
Yeah.
I think our backgrounds are probably similar, lower middle class.
Raised lower middle, basically, yeah. Both
It's
white.
all,
But we went to schools in places that had lots of non-white people, both of us.
yeah. It's
I
all
was raised mostly around Mexican people, actually.
right.
Most of my peers were from Mexico because I lived in Redwood City, which is where a lot of Mexicans went to. I was raised in the Mexican community. What? Yeah, most of my neighbors were from Mexico. The stores were Mexican grocery stores around us. You got Mexican candy. It was Mexican holidays. That's how I was raised. My best friend was Mario. He was from Mexico. Come on.
Yeah. I mean,
Californian.
it's funny when you're a kid, you don't even think about that stuff. I mean, I wonder if kids now do, if they're like hyper aware of race and shit. But
I didn't even notice that he looked different. It didn't even cross my mind as a kid.
yeah, not at all.
It was like, oh, his popcorn is spicy. He puts hot sauce on his popcorn. Oh my god!
I thought I invented that, but
No, you
red
didn't.
hot on popcorn.
It was like a tapatio on popcorn.
I don't like tapatio.
It's really vinegary. You know?
I'm spicy with my particular.
And you
Particularly
have
with my
been
spicy.
a professional chef, my friend. Dare I say, I work with a bandana, much like you're wearing right now. I have seen you make many a meal for hundreds, dare I say, thousands of people.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it, sort of reminiscing about that. It's fucking crazy.
Our shared stint at that restaurant we worked at together.
Crazy, high pressure, super fast paced.
Efficient, effective, profitable, mind you.
And all
We made a profit almost every quarter that we were there together.
Hmm.
There was one or two we did not make a profit, but almost every one we did. Meaning we paid Matthew and Tercy money for never going there. That's what I mean.
Yeah, made some good friends there too.
I still hold the Cafe Gratitude Berkeley Facebook page, which has like many like people like it all the time and check in all the time.
Oh, you still like administer that page?
I still administer the page. I somehow retained that, and I occasionally post things on there. Thousands of people might see it, so it's like kind of a good avenue.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I posted. I think I did Bike Order Warrior stuff because you and I both worked there, and I was like, yeah, 2 Gratitude employees go on a bicycle trip together, and it did what it did. Oh man, I miss. It's like it's this weird that I got to experience. You and I both worked in the heart of where civil rights and social justice like began and was heavily in its own mind fighting for.
Right.
Berkeley. And then you and I worked at a epicenter for a very devout cult of veganism in the Berkeley area, which was specifically political and ecological. Specifically political and ecological, I would say.
Yeah.
And so you and I had the opportunity to work at an epicenter in a very thoughtful place. Good or bad thought, it was very thoughtful, a lot of thinking. And I had run-ins, difficulties. I mean, I experienced the trans community, the queer community, people who worked there with us. Was anyone straight? I mean, I don't know. I doubt, barely.
I thought I was until I started reading.
Yeah, right. So it's like it was a hodgepodge of races, every color. I mean, barely speaking English, fresh off the boat from Iran, trans people. Like those people worked there, and we hired them, and it was great. And we had it was a lot of trans and a lot of gay and a lot of.
Remember how
it was very, very much that.
Remember how little like political talk there was too? Like what was the political issue of the day? I don't even remember.
Obama was president. It didn't matter. We were there during Obama, and it was like we didn't even think about it.
Nobody cared. Yeah.
We were bombing the shit out of people, but it was fun.
Yeah, Obama.
So I had one run-in, a real not physical, but like emotional and verbal run-in with one trans person there. That the first time they told me they were trans, I didn't believe them. I was like, no way, you're totally a guy-born guy. I can tell. And it was like, no, that person was born female and chose to become male, or always felt they were male and finally now are. Whatever it was, this guy. When he first told me he was trans, I was like, you must not know what that means. Or I really thought it was the guy, a cis guy. And this person,
was it someone we worked with? Starts with J?
Yeah. It starts with an the second letter is J, I'll say, I think. Or the third letter.
Third letter is J.
Yeah.
Oh.
First letter I think is M.
Oh.
So one day I was like a manager, and I was the maintenance guy and a server sometimes. And it was one of the days that I was like running to the hardware store, and I had this crappy drill, not even an impact driver, and I was trying to hang a curtain so that we could designate an area for breast pumping. There was 3 mothers working there, and they needed a clean, it was like a rule that came up. They needed a space to pump their milk, not in public. And I was like, cool. So we turned the office into
back office, yeah.
There's 2 or 3 mothers pumping all at once, and it was like, we made that happen. So I'm putting up the thing to make for pregnant and new mothers, right? And I cut it's like I'm using garbage. I cut myself. I'm bleeding out of my hands. I particularly don't like to bleed out of my hands. It bums me out. And I'm like, kind of just in this boisterous, figuring it out, I'm bleeding mood. I'm like, I'm like ghetto MacGyver. Because I had a bunch of garbage, and it was just like, it was shit.
Oh, you said ghetto MacGyver?
I said that. I was like, I'm like ghetto MacGyver. Like, haha. And this person took extreme offense and essentially yelled at me not to use those words. that I don't know what a ghetto is,
Oh,
and that I shouldn't.
sounds like he was maybe she was being a little presumptuous about your background.
Right. So he said you can't because you're white you can't use that word basically.
Right. Right.
And I didn't have there wasn't though like woke
People with
fear.
no authority telling you what to do.
Right.
One of the things I hate the most.
And this person was small, and it's like and to give them some credit, like this was a little bit of misplaced bravery on their part, because I could fucking crush them like no problem. And it's like,
is this really a battle that needs to be fought?
let me give them the bit of bravery that is, and I'll leave it there. And I remember I wasn't afraid of like the woke story or how correct I was, and I just responded honestly. I was like, you don't get to tell me the words that I use. I get to choose the words that I use. And I left. And it was like, oh.
Yeah. See,
but that was the worst it got. That was the worst.
Someone disagreed with me.
Yeah, someone disagreed with me politely and left. Yeah.
Why do people have different opinions?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. See, I was nonviolent about it. I spoke, made space.
Yeah,
that was the worst it got. That was the worst it ever got. Every other, like, let me tell you another story. There was a person there. People didn't know we're trans. They thought this person was a boy. This person happened to have been born a girl. They told me first before they told
Starts with a J.
The trans people. Let me think for a second. Who is the trans?
Third letter is a K.
No. Different person who was a trans person who didn't tell people they were trans, were hired as a guy, whatever, and they were like they came to me first because they knew that I was a safe space to share that they were not in fact born male.
Yeah.
And I'll keep their name private. And it's like, I don't need to convince you that I have strongly interacted with the trans community with almost ubiquitous positivity. There was a little bit where this one person who was super fucked up where it got weird and I had to like talk to them sternly. But it was like, we've been there. They're just people. They're just like your uncle, your nephew. It's not a thing. It's no.
You have to constantly prove that you're not transphobic, not Islamophobic, not a misogynist, not a xenophobe,
to everyone,
not a racist. Yeah. Constantly. And if you slip, you will be destroyed.
Which is true. And I'm getting pretty tired of it, but I have to acknowledge that I bet young black men are too. I bet young black men are tired of having to be smiley and prove that they're safe, and to some degree in some communities, like I am tired of it. And I've been doing it for a decade now, like defending myself as a civil person, but I'll just do it to everyone. And then eventually enough people will know me and it'll be fine.
Right.
I have to admit that this is kind of what they were talking about. Like they're tired of having to constantly prove that they're not a bad person, that they can listen and complete full sentences, and that they mean well for every human, basically.
You're like, guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. And so like I can feel some systemic racism weight as like, I'm tired of it. I bet they're tired of it too. And it's like, okay, humility, let's just settle down. All right.
Yeah, it sucks because it almost forces you into a situation where you're like lying to people because you're afraid that you'll get canceled for telling the truth or something. Like the incentives are all twisted up, but that's upside down clown world.
Well, tell me more about this. Tell me more about the golden age. How is the golden age showing itself? Because I think it's showing itself. And I think that
there's a shift in the energy. I think people are waking up to the fact that the news is bad for you. The media is manipulative. All media is mind control. And that can be good or bad, right? You can self-program. You could like listen to upbeat music. You could write positive affirmations. So you can self-program, but you are what you consume. Not only food, but friendships, other people, news sources, information. That all comes in and does have an effect. I think people are realizing that. The incentives of the news industry have changed. I think people are waking up to the fact that it's not really about reporting news anymore. Now it's about just getting clicks and ad revenue for pharmaceutical companies selling you drugs. And trust in experts, I think, is eroding. Um, the UN, the WHO, the U.S. government, these aren't as hallowed as they once were. People are more skeptical of that stuff, and
Their blatant errors are horrifying.
yeah, totally. And like if your local village, the local village grandmother uh, would probably blow all these experts out of the water, right?
Sure.
Because she has experience probably of past pandemics and crazy weird things happening. Um, she learned from her forebears a lot of tricks and rules of thumb, and you could even argue that religion is beneficial that way because it
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
passes on useful sort of
Yeah,
guidelines.
I've been in contact with some information about that lately.
Yeah, so I think that's part of the golden age. You've never had more opportunity to start a business, to be successful. I think there's a lot of uh,
The economy
free learning to be had. There's like so much good information out there. You know, like you could get a college education on YouTube or Khan Academy. Um, it's never been easier to be a millionaire. Uh, there's a lot of setbacks. There's a lot of weird shit happening, but um, automation I think will make things better. Uh, it just goes on and on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be that it's just that's all in my head, right? But if you're happy and you're delusional, is that bad?
I don't know.
Like uh, if you're happy, are you unhappy? Um, I don't know though. I
The
think
stock market right now
it's fucked.
says that the future is as bright as it was in January of this year.
Right.
The stock market is not coupled to reality. So the economy and GDP and the stock market aren't measuring much. Not much.
They're measuring psychology. Stock market it's not really about value of companies. That's sort of ostensibly what the stock market is about. But the stock market is really measuring um, sort of the emotions, the psychology of the country and the world. If the stock market's going up, people are optimistic about the future.
It's a narrow band of people. You're right. But it's a narrow band of people.
There are all kinds of problems with the stock market.
Only about 2% of Americans are in the stock market. I mean, maybe more like 12%, but like really most working people aren't in the stock market.
Yeah. Or they have their 401k and that's it.
And that's
buying into some,
and it's a tiny fraction of what's going on there. It's so 0.002 of anything that it's like I'm not affecting anything.
Don't bet against America. Don't bet against Elon Musk. My advice, not financial advice, but buy a share of Tesla for your grandkids. Buy a share of Tesla for each of your kids.
I could do that.
Maybe. I wouldn't buy Amazon because Amazon seems like evil in a weird way. But I think a lot of aerospace industry companies too. Those would probably be good investments. The stock market is a good way to sort of invest in the future of America.
Is Robinhood good?
I haven't used it. I've heard a lot of people say good things about it.
How do you invest?
Just through my bank.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I have a retirement account through work, but that's pretty small. I don't throw that much into it.
it started there. I mean, you haven't been there a year.
Just because the fees for Fidelity are fucked, and so it's really about finding lowest fees. That's like that's like investing 101 is like find the lowest fees. And Robinhood is good because they have zero. I think they have zero fees.
A couple other places are popping up, I think, in competition of that.
Yeah,
Zero.
right when Robinhood announced that, my bank was like, okay, no longer are we charging 4.95 a trade. Now it's zero.
Cool.
So there was like direct response to
I
that.
could take $100 and put it in a Tesla and then just leave it there.
Yeah, I think you'd probably have to buy a whole share of Tesla.
Oh, what's that going for these days?
It's like 800 or something.
You
But you know, if you buy one for each of your children,
only have two. It's only
you know, it'd
60
be
bucks.
or even like buy an ounce of gold
Yeah.
for each of them. That
Right.
might be more robust. But um, I don't know. I like America. I like betting on American success.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that.
Uh, like part of that's wishful thinking, part of it's optimism, part of it's brainwashing. Right? America has brainwashed me to love America. It worked. All those fucking pledges of allegiance. I think they worked.
If you were born into Croatia, the same year you were born in Colorado, I think if I was, we would both love Croatia more than America. I think we would think anywhere we were from, we would think that. Is that true?
It's hard to say because a lot of that is just our individual psychology. Like how much of an optimist are you? Um, but I imagine there'd be some places to be born that would really suck.
I mean, it is true. If you think about movies or music or stand-up comedy, I mean, you're watching what's coming out of America. I mean, you just are. It just is the cooler shit, and it's a small group of people. And why is that happening? It's something to do with the wealth. I don't know.
Mm.
But China has way more people, and we're not watching Chinese movies. We just aren't listening to Chinese music, man.
Yeah,
It's
and is that a product of the culture? Is it the government? Is it a combination?
both.
You know,
Yeah.
so many of these questions are like a chicken and egg. Like, well, what came first? And it's usually more complex than that. Usually they're co-evolving. Um, you know, India is on the up and up. I would, you know, if I lived in India, I'd be investing in India. Wicked high literacy rate, great education. Like they're fully coming online with infrastructure. Um,
And there's 1.2
China's their
billion.
neighbor though. Kind of sucks.
You know,
I
the
bought
China
by the way,
government
this
is
is
terrifying.
real quick. I bought a portable shower from Amazon. Uh, you know, just a
Portable
bag,
shower?
a
Oh,
portable shower
solar.
with just a bag with the thing, tube.
Solar heated shower.
Yeah, and it came today and opened it up, and like the bag just had holes in it. And I just looked at the made in China tag, and I just fucking threw the thing across the room. I was so pissed. It's like, $20 piece of piece of shit, piece of trash. So glad so glad it got here so quick. My broken piece of shit shower that has holes in it. And I was just like, it pissed me off so much because I don't know, just layers of just
The first layer is I wasted my money. The second layer is fuck China. I mean, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
we can't just buy something and like trust that it'll be like just minimally functional. Like expecting it to be minimally functional is actually fucked up. You have to just think that it's going to be broken. Hope you're surprised.
my wife just bought this mattress for Willow, our 5-month-old. She took it out of the package. It's brand new. It's torn. threads are coming out, we're returning it. Same fucking thing.
Give me like, oh, my neighbor's a cobbler, and so he works with like stitching leather and stuff, and he's gonna make me a solar shower. Like, give me that world.
Yeah.
Where it's like someone I know, his ass is on the line, he has a reputation. Instead, it's like just some fucking mega factory in China.
Yeah, you would have the best shit in the world if somebody you knew the person who made the truck you drove. Like,
Yeah,
it'd be the
skin
best
in the
shit.
game, localism.
Well, I mean, as close as we can get, I have 2 solar showers. They're both from Seattle Sports. And a little plug here, an actual plug. Seattle Sports makes a fine solar shower in America. And I've used it for years. I've actually had it where it was accidentally poked, or like the weight of the water was pushed against the surface of the bag. It did not break. It's stretched and is misshapen, but still works.
Did we use that at Burning Man?
Yes, we did. And then I took it again and used it at Burning Man. I brought both and actually set up the shower last year for the camp I was at with those ones.
Are there portable shower like frames? So I imagine like
tents. They do a tent. They do. It's basically like a one-person circus tent.
Yeah.
You stand in. That's what they do.
Okay. So I was thinking you could have like like a hula hoop at the bottom, hula hoop at the top with just a rod connecting them, and then a shower curtain around the whole thing that just hooks on top and bottom.
Let's go. So this tent holds the
Sell
bag
that.
up for you. Yeah, I mean, totally.
Maybe we could outsource it to Chinese manufacturing, make that.
Oh yeah, and then only 31% of them will break when they're delivered.
Yeah. Fucked.
But all you need is 69% of them to not be broken when they're delivered, and like you'll keep selling them. That's all you need. That's why, because that's all you need.
So fucked.
So we're pumping our landfills to the brim. Garbage produced at extremely low cost out of really finite materials like oil to make all these rubbers and plastics.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not hard to see the downside. We need to shift our economy from hydrocarbons to essentially the sun. And the sun is wind and solar and wave and tidal and geothermal. It's all the sun.
Right.
So we need to shift from hydrocarbon to solar.
Even wood power is the sun. It's remarkable how much energy is packed into a piece of dried wood.
But the hydrocarbons are arguably not solar power because we're digging dinosaur blood up from thousands of feet of shale rock.
Right.
And then we're doing a massive process to extract different parts of it, and then we're setting it on fire and then leaving it in the atmosphere.
But it starts with the sun because the dinosaurs, if they were carnivores, they ate other dinosaurs.
Right. So
those dinosaurs, ate the leaves, plants.
So then we should update our language, right? Or wouldn't it be cool if we updated it from, instead of solar power, we go from hydrocarbons to renewable sources of energy? Which renewable is a debatable term because I watched a documentary recently that said like all the solar panels in the world, if everyone was like, okay, full solar go, you couldn't make enough fast enough to save the world. Or if you did, basically the point was our lifestyles were going to have to change, period. There's no and then we found more oil and then it was fine. Or then the coal was fine and then the solar panels were, no. All 3 of those scenarios equal a drastic change in energy per capita.
What about nuclear?
Yeah, even with that, if we stepped on the gas with nuclear,
I've heard that nuclear is like, we're not in the Chernobyl era anymore. We're like Generation 4 nuclear power is supposedly really safe.
Nuclear technology could be the Prius of our future. It could be, which means it's not the answer, it is an answer, and it is very cheap to make 4 or 5 million of them and just put them down. And then it's pretty good. It's 80-90% good, you know, and that's pretty good. It's not going to be 100% good. It's like,
what if you could like launch a bunch of nuclear power plants that were automated, and they just launch them to the moon. So you have like hundreds of nuclear power plants on the moon, and we're just beaming energy back to the Earth.
we'd lose a lot, wouldn't we, in the
We would
transfer?
lose a shitload, and it would be very dangerous to be beaming that much energy. But you know, you would minimize damage. I mean, the moon, no one's there, no one cares if there's a blow up.
Basically, like there would be no danger actually, because you would be taking all the danger. It would just the efficiency would go from like whatever nuclear is on Earth to the cost of putting it on the moon and transferring it back. Maybe there's a shortcut. Ooh.
Well, you could beam the energy by laser, but you would have to, if the laser was off target, you'd be incinerating parts of the Earth.
Okay, hear me out. Instead of the moon, orbital satellite nuclear plants.
Yeah.
They beam energy down, we collect it. If they explode, oops.
Just another, just another bunch of debris in orbit. Plenty of that already.
Better than debris in Ohio from a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
So then how about satellite nuclear plants?
I'm down. I think satellite, I think there's a lot of potential there because, like people have Bitcoin fucking nodes running in satellites. So that even if the internet was taken down on Earth, there would still be, Bitcoin would still exist because there's a satellite in orbit running the code.
Genius.
Yeah, so that's part of the golden age, man. Space Force. Elon Musk, America, breaking out of your mental prisons. People realizing that they actually all mostly agree on everything, and that the division is not coming because people disagree. The division is just being manufactured, and you are being fucked with. You are being agitated. Thank you for participating. I think that's part of the golden age is like a sort of enlightenment. At least that's what I'd like to hope. I'm gonna grab a beer. I'll be right back.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I actually need a beer too, and have to go to the bathroom. So let's do a quick pause, do that, and go.
Okay. Sounds good.
Man, would you believe it? Mr. Beer, Mr. Brewery, I had my brother-in-law and sister came over yesterday. He brought a 12-pack of Michelob Ultras. It's like 2 carbohydrates, 98 calories. It had less flavor and alcohol than this. It tasted more like water than this does. And I was like,
Then water did.
yeah, then I was like, I don't want that. So I only had one more. And it was like, oh yeah, could you grab me one of my like sea drinks that just it's like, I don't know, it's summertime, it's fruity, it's refreshing. And I was just Aubrey, you missed the first part, but I'm like Mr. Brewery and craft beer and Imperial Stout and IPA and Imperial IPA. Oh, the history and the notes, and I can explain them. And I'm like, yeah, I guess
Award-winning brewer.
yeah, award-winning brewer is like, yeah, I'm not really drinking beer right now.
Yeah. So what do you like to drink? I like these, Sally beer,
Yeah,
seltzer.
I drink the spritzers with actually black cherry is my favorite flavor, so that's where I'm at. Well, I don't know if you can tell from this picture, but I've lost close to 40 pounds in the past like 3 months.
Yeah, man, you look good. This is the first beer I've had in a while.
Oh yeah, see, I mean, it's going around.
It's going around. So many carbs.
Where
But
are you?
also intermittent fasting. I mean, you probably can't tell because I still look like a schlub, but
What
intermittent
is
fasting is working out for me. Uh, Cutting carbs.
Yeah, you eating more veggies and meat?
Not so much veggie, meat though. Yeah.
More meat? What are you eating?
Uh, Fucking Wahlburgers, ground beef, uh, pork. I made chili like twice this week.
So like,
Bacon, pork,
are you going carnivore basically?
sausage. Yeah, it's funny because I used to be total beta pussy vegan. Um, but then when I was working, when I was doing hot tubs and like schlepping wood all over the place, like I just felt like such a wuss. I felt like such a weak pussy. Um, and I was like, maybe the meat is involved here somehow, And now I'm like just fucking eating meat raw, just crazy shit. But
Whoa, you gotta, oh dude, that is a 10-minute video that I would love for you to tell your vegetarian to carnivore story. Just if you
for
could
so long, I was vegan, vegetarian for so long too. For so long, and then
well wait, but you said you were beta and weak for vegetarianism, but I'm not sure that's the full story. I think when I met you, you were vegetarian.
right.
And I think if I remember correctly, it was kind of, wasn't like meat is murder, but you're like factory farming's fucked and I like my body eating vegetables. Am I close?
I don't even know if I had. Yeah, I think you're close. I don't even know if I had like a philosophical viewpoint that was fleshed out even that much.
What
It was sort
viewpoint?
of just like, well, I've just been this for so long. I'm just doing it. Factory farming is fucked. Even now that I eat meat and stuff, it is fucked up. I think we'll eventually look back on this and be like, I can't believe, people just killed cows and chickens and it was so inhumane. I think that's a thing.
When you fly out, you're gonna have to take some rabbit home from you from the farm.
Right. But and then I think it was like halfway through working at Gratitude when I ironically wasn't a vegetarian anymore.
Right. But you still ate primarily vegetables. You would mix meat in. I think I was a little bit of an influence too.
Yeah.
And then the Bike Order Warriors, I don't think a dinner would buy without a tuna or a steak or something.
That was the other thing, Bike Order Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone's different. Everyone has a different metabolism. Whatever works for you, works for you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? But you saw it in some of the later Bike Order Warriors stuff. I was like just eating tuna all the time.
Yeah.
And I just had like power, like muscles that just wouldn't like stringy muscle, leg muscle. I could just keep going. And you were like, dude, what the fuck? Why you're
Yeah.
like zipping it off the head? And to me, it was like, well, I thought it was just normal. It didn't seem odd, but I think it was direct result of
Were
eating
you vegetarian the first
protein.
few bike order trips? Think of Samuel P. Taylor on that one night where
Maybe,
he,
yeah.
is that, huh, interesting. So maybe it occurred during Bike Order Warrior. I mean, included as well as the other things.
Yeah, hot tubs and bike warriors. Like, shit, I gotta like get my body. Like, I need to put more fuel into this. Like, more. I need to put more efficient fuel into this engine.
Yeah.
Right. Protein.
Yeah. Actually, fat. I mean, let's be honest, it's fat. You can have too much
Yeah.
protein. You can't have too much fat if you aren't also eating a bunch of sugar.
Right.
If you're eating a bunch of sugar, you'll kill yourself.
I mean, there's so much energy in like a steak.
Yeah.
Think about
the protein.
think it like that beast does not want to go down, and you have to expend so much fucking energy to kill it, raise it, kill it,
Either one, yeah.
and
Hunting or raising.
It does not want to die,
No.
and all that is packed into the little steak. I mean, it's like firewood, right? It's like meat is like the firewood. It's like just so
It's like
incredibly packed with
cow is like
life.
packed.
It's so crazy because Earth is so fucking resplendently just jammed full of life.
Yeah.
And everywhere else in the solar system and the galaxy and the universe is completely barren.
It seems that way.
It's, it's like, let's go to space. Let's go to space. And we go, and it's like, fuck, man. We're all alone. There's nobody out here. There's nothing out here.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of why there's probably political reasons too, but I think the cultural shift after the first moon landing, it might have been just like a psychological shift of like, fuck, man, there is nothing out there. We are totally alone. And
Yeah.
that's devastating. And we're just kind of like, all right, we're going to like just hold back. We'll live on our little sphere here.
Yeah. Scared everyone.
Because it
There
is.
weren't aliens.
We're just, we're an oasis in a desert of horror.
Well, who'd that scare? It scared the people in the office, in the financier department.
I think just the zeitgeist.
Media.
When was Roswell big?
50s?
Is that 50s?
Yeah. 70s?
Yes. Yeah, late 50s, early 60s. That's when there's those semi-credible UFO abduction stories.
Yeah.
Famous one being that I think a couple from Massachusetts or New Hampshire, black guy and a white woman. Not that matters, but them being abducted and shown star charts and shit. And I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there's aliens out there?
There has to be. I think my ego would have to relinquish that there must be other intelligent life out there. Whether they breathe air and vocalize sound, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
They might not push air through a tongue, a mouth, and a set of teeth and lips to create sounds that can transmit tons of knowledge. Like,
yeah.
They may have skipped that. It might be clicking. I mean, it's like, it could be so different. The thought of communicating would be just.
What if they're like invisible?
Yeah, they could be invisible.
Undetectable. What if they exist as purely psychological phenomenon, and the only way to communicate with them is through DMT?
That actually
ayahuasca.
Makes more sense than anything. But they're almost not aliens at that point. That would almost be like not gods,
another
but like
facet
just
Yeah.
It's like just below God at that point. Or it's like not a God, but like a being that is perplexingly advanced.
What's the dream? Like you meet an alien race that's exactly like humans, but more enlightened.
No, the dream, I think for me, if you're asking me to use my imagination,
Yes, please.
we send out our ship and we go and we find um, another, Goldilocks rock. Maybe it's a little like, 10% smaller. Similar.
Exoplanet.
Exoplanet. It's got, an air atmosphere and there's greenery, liquid water, and then, all the things and life. And the thing that I think would be super cool is if something like a vocalizing bipedal mammal uh, started using science and they were partly along the road. I mean, say even somewhere slightly similar. I mean, maybe not too dissimilar than us.
Do
Maybe a
you do
couple
you
hundred years here or there. And we meet them and we join forces and combine teams and we build something greater together. That's like best case scenario.
do you fuck with them? Like, do you? What about the Prime Directive? Do you just observe them, or do you step in?
Well, if they're similar-ish to me, we step in. We step right in, and we go, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "Hey, have you ever had snore knob?" And I'm like, "Have you ever had cannabis?" And they're like, "I've never heard that word." And I'm like, "Go over here." And I tried snore knob, and
That's like the
and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's like blah 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 blah. You can't even imagine. You have to try snore knob." And I'm like, "Go over here."
yeah the skit is you like you that happens, and then you turn to the alien, and you're like, have you ever candy flipped?
Yeah, I'm like, "Hey, you ever candy? We want to do that?" It's like,
Drew Clark for president.
yeah, yeah. So like that would be cool. Yeah, have you ever candy? And then I candy flip with this alien who is
Like
a
zooms in on your eye, and there's like a twinkle. Like,
so yeah, have you ever candy flip plus cannabis? And we like, let's start with cannabis, and then we give the guy
yeah,
or we'll give the schlem some cannabis. They hit off the bong, and they're like, whoa, and we're like, you ready? And we candy flip them, and then we like hand them some tej as they're coming down, and they're like, how do we join? They'd be
yeah.
so bored, and then they'd be like, well, we're joining each other, and then I go, dude, you got us Lorland or Vlimvlam. Have you Vlimvlammed, Aubrey? Come with me over to the other. They call their mother planet Starm.
Tier.
Starm tier, and we're gonna go over there, and you're gonna help me cannabis and candy flip a group there so they can sort of like have the experience.
Convert. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're gonna but then we before we do that we have to go there and do the floor knob ceremony, which in my highest hopes is like as cool as what we're talking about, but in like a different way.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like an alien threat would be weirdly, it would bring everyone together.
Especially an alien friend, both. I see
Yeah.
both. I see it like we meet this other Earth-like planet. We get high together. It's great. We're getting along. It's cool. But they then let us know that they know about this greater threat and that they actually need us to join and that together we could defeat it. Very much like Homo sapiens versus Neanderthals. Because Neanderthals couldn't group. You know what I mean? Like they let us know of this outside force. We come in, boom, and then we actually end up being able to procreate together, right? So aliens and humans get together, we expand that species and become hyper multiplanetary,
Mm.
and then I can rest.
Yeah, imagine looking up into the sky. You see a string of stars, and it's like, a string of stars that are all sort of green tinted. And the reason they're green tinted is because life is just flourishing out of control on whatever, all the planets around that star. We have ring worlds, we have Dyson spheres. It seems inevitable. I mean, it's kind of like why go to space? I get that reason. I get that argument. Like, what's the point?
They're wrong though. Everyone who said we have to fix home before we go to space weren't proto-humans in sub-Saharan Africa, because their civilization wasn't perfect. And some of them left and they went north. And they went north, and then they went a little bit east, and they went north more, and then spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect where they were. Also, people left.
And it seems inevitable too.
So it's inevitable that we must go to Mars, and that would be at a time when it is imperfect here. This is all true.
It's like, why go to Mars? I get that, but it's going to happen regardless. Like, so
Some people
might as well act as if it is going to happen, because it will.
Some people are worried that all this nonsense is going to equal a civil war, and that we may be set back in all of our technology potentially many decades.
Maybe. So, I mean, it's not impossible, I guess.
I
think
don't
it's
want
unlikely
to
though.
go too much on that, but that is something that's come up as possible. That if the Seattle, what's it called? WASP?
Chaz?
Chaz. If Chaz catches on and there's actually like a Maoist type civil war startup thing, like if there actually is the energy for something like that to destroy this nation, that's what it would take. And it'd be ignited by the fuel of any president who would have to respond with excessive force. Any president would. So it's like, if you kind of look at that a few steps ahead, it could go badly, like this country and the dollar and our well-being. I mean, like in the most extreme.
Yeah, there are a lot of problems. A lot of things could go wrong.
Have you ever thought that this country might drop, that it would, like the democracy could fail?
What's that?
Have you ever thought that this country's democracy could fail?
Yeah, I think sure. We almost have never really had true democracy until past 5 years. Like, more people are engaged with politics now, at least as far as my limited career of human being on Earth.
You're still a very
people are more engaged in politics now than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, in that way, America is great again. In
that way, it's more of a democracy than it's ever been. But I think that era is over. I don't think your vote really means anything anymore.
Your vote counts more than mine does.
Like, I don't think elections are determined by votes anymore.
No.
Trump ripped open a hole in reality, and that's one of the side effects of it, is getting all these new perspectives on things that you thought worked a certain way and realizing that now they don't.
If we run the course that Biden's our choice in California, because they lump whole states together for some fucking reason, my vote for a third party or anything has no, like, all of my neighbors are going to vote for Biden. And that's what my state's going to choose, and then they would delete my vote. What? Clearly, if you want to save America, you need to have one person, one vote. If you're a citizen, even like a temporary citizen, like, or you have a 10-year visa, you should be able to vote. Whatever. Like, that's debatable. My point is, if you're a citizen, your vote should count. End of conversation. I get electoral college as like I think we should morph its power from like deciding who the president is to like influencing. I think they should be influencers, essentially. That's probably a better role for them to play. Electoral college should be like social media influencers on the topic. They shouldn't be deciding who wins. regardless of like millions of humans' votes. I mean, tens, dozens of millions of people's votes aren't counted. And it's like, if one human equals one vote for president, you would have nearly everyone voting, and that would really revolutionize
Yeah.
democracy now. But that is nowhere near going to happen. Or
Yeah. Well, that's why the electoral college was invented, right? It was because
You know why?
the
Do you know? I don't know.
disproportionate state populations.
That sounds like horseshit. I think it's if it's a democracy and all men are created equal, every vote.
Originally, it was you could only vote if you're a man who owned land.
So I couldn't vote now.
Which this is controversial, but if you think about it, that actually is a pretty good starting point because you do have skin because you own land. You have skin in the game. But
Well,
I think we just outgrew that. We just outgrew that whole paradigm.
skin in the game though, but there's so much land. I mean,
That's true. There's so much free land in
yeah,
in
and then
America.
the renters. Think of all what the renters do for our communities and what they build
Yeah,
and they can to the people renting apartments build companies. I mean,
right. No, I'm not disputing that. I'm just
yeah,
saying that's I mean, driving across country, there's so much fucking land. Just so much wilderness. Like still, it's crazy. You know, you drive through the Midwest, it's like, fuck man, this is like undiscovered country. You know?
let me echo that by saying when I was a flight attendant, I flew over this country for a decade.
Yeah.
You could see just vast millions of acres, just miles and miles of
Yeah.
totally habitable land unoccupied by people. Like seriously, when people talk about overpopulation, they're missing the other axis on the graph.
Yeah.
So it's not a two-dimensional graph that's either up or down.
Right.
There's another axis. The
You look
axis
at
is
yeah,
space.
you look at San Francisco or LA or New York or Boston, you're like oh, we're running out of space.
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
This is
There's
crazy.
shit everywhere. There's garbage
Crazy.
everywhere.
And then you fly over the United States and you're like, what?
Everyone could
Plenty
have a
of room.
square mile easily. Everyone. It's like there's so much space.
One of the best things that government ever did was national parks.
Mhm.
That's like
Yeah,
just
agreed.
a rare example of a good decision by government. I think it was Roosevelt.
Yeah,
Sure.
it was with the right here in Martinez is the guy he would camp with.
Okay.
Amir Woods.
Like Central Park, great, love that shit. You know, set aside a little parcel of land.
Be semi-natural. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm tempted to like buy land up in New Hampshire and just go fucking off the grid somewhere up there.
With solar panels and do eco grid worm farming and shit.
Yeah, aquaponic, worm farming.
So you like have chickens, raise goats, have maybe rabbits if I can talk you into it, and then like raise a bunch of veggies and call it good.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of animals I'd have. Probably goats would be good.
Well, really, honestly, chickens
Chickens.
and rabbits are a hyper beneficial combo because when rabbits poop, it's really gross and it piles up nastily. But when you put the chickens together, they scratch at it, so the bugs and the piles never occur.
So they're synergistic, chickens and rabbits?
Yes.
Huh.
And then you eat the rabbits. And if you can grow enough hay or Timothy hay or alfalfa, if you can grow enough of it in your little scratch of land, you don't have to buy it. And the rabbits can live off of your little scratch, your corner. If you're hucking seeds, it reseeds itself. You could research this. Everyone could. If you have enough daytime scratch land. It doesn't have to be flat. It can be a fucking steep hill.
Hmm.
It has to have good enough soil to grow Timothy hay or alfalfa or both, and that's all they need to live.
Hmm.
And then of course you give them scratches from the garden, tips of the onion, blah blah blah. Chickens eat this. Rabbits, water, clean water.
Yeah.
They need to be away from their food. That's important. And they need.
What about domestic pets?
alfalfa.
Do you want a cat to take care of the spiders and the mice? Do you want a
Spiders are
dog?
good. Leave the spiders. You want a cat to take care of the mice. Yes.
Yeah. Do you want a dog to rustle the
Protect.
sheep and
Mm.
to protect against to warn you against invaders?
I'm not pro sheep. I think sheep they require they endure and require. They both give you cloth from the wool, but you need to shear them. And so
Right.
goats don't. They just delicious meat and milk.
But do you want dogs to corral the livestock?
No. I'm talking about minimal livestock that don't need corralling. The dog is really like protection from outside predators. The dog really warns you when the wolf is near or a big enough hawk is near.
Mm.
The cat and the dog kind of work on that together, honestly. If you're feeding both, they're about all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What great allies, because the cat will just take care of your vermin.
Mm-hmm. If you
And
have a good aggressive cat, maybe a nice strong female cat, you don't have to worry about rodents.
yeah, you want a pissed off female cat.
Aggressive, territorial female cat. That's what I would want.
Yeah.
Maybe male. I mean, whatever. But yeah, so that would be cool. But then yeah, the dog warns of like larger predators. The dog keeps the dog keeps the goats safe from the mountain lion, essentially. So where I thought, how far are you going? Are you thinking where's this land? How many acres are you talking?
Be nice to have like some kind of water access.
Creek,
Whether it be a creek or
well,
river or a
river.
lake. Something that you could swim in though. Like not some crazy current river that you
So wait,
can't.
a well wouldn't work if you had water access as a well because you can't swim in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would like a well, but I would like to be quote unquote on the water, even if it was just a paltry little creek.
You want to be able to because you could dig it out and make a pond.
Yeah, just psychologically.
You want to
Yeah.
okay, so psychological.
Psychological thing, yeah.
Water.
Um,
Yeah, you want running water. How weird.
like way the fuck up in New Hampshire so that you're near the Canadian border.
Ooh, what kind of elevation are we talking? 10,000 feet? Lower? 8,000?
No, it's low. Yeah, I mean, it's low. It's all pretty flat. There's mountains and, there's a mountain range and stuff, but
You wouldn't be in the mountain range. You'd be more the like plains.
yeah, it's not like Sierras. It's like pretty flat area.
Okay, so how many acres are we talking?
I would want a good bit of land, maybe 20 minimum.
Okay, and when you go on Zillow or whatever, what's kind of is there an average or what's a couple of
Well, lots. You could probably get a lot for $100,000.
for 20 acres ish? Okay, yeah. And that's like no power, no sewer. It's just
Maybe sewer. Some of them do have the sewer part built out
so you can at least attach to it.
or like septic ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's appealing to just buy the land without a house on it. Because then you could just have geodesic domes. You could have a tiny house. If you bought a lot of land for 100,000, then your tiny house costs 30,000, just outright. I mean, that's pretty good. You paid 130,000 for your 20 acres.
Yeah.
With a house on it, and there's property taxes and all that shit.
But do you really want to be anchored on the East Coast out there, in New Hampshire?
What's that?
Do you want to be anchored out there in the East Coast?
Well, be nice to have multiple anchor points.
right?
But you know, the older I get, the more I'm like homesteading, you know,
Yeah.
sort of just off the grid, like not doomsday prepper, but like kind of rinsing up against that, where you're a fully
Fine.
autonomous,
Yeah.
you know, or mostly autonomous. You get your meat from a guy you know, you get your dairy, your eggs from somebody you know most people. You have a fucking probably Sig Sauer Glock, probably have a shotgun,
Mhm.
probably have a rifle,
Do you hunt?
probably a revolver, rifle, and shotgun, right?
Yeah, that's about it. Do you hunt? Are you? What are you hunting? With boar?
I don't know if I'd be hunting.
You
If
think
I
of
did hunt, what would I hunt? I don't know. I've never hunted. I've never even thought about it.
well,
Like it'd be fun to go out with a compound bow and shoot something.
could you like work at your present job and live on your acreage in New Hampshire?
I think eventually that's a possibility. Yeah.
Wow. Where's the nearest airport?
I think it would be probably Portsmouth, New Hampshire. New Hampshire only has a small portion of coast, and then it's like all this land. So I think it would be Portsmouth. I don't know if it's international, but I think it is. You know, it's basically like 3 hours almost straight up from where I am now.
It sounds
Get into
exciting.
live free or die, you know, motorcycle Harley freaks.
Is it gonna be just the two of you, you and your wonderful sweet lady, or is it like I don't know, with 20 acres you could compound more people. What are your thoughts on other people?
That'd be cool. It'd be cool to maybe rent out something. Like
Like
do a Verbo something geodesic dome rental. I don't know about commune though. Like
yeah, yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
But what about like your family, like your mom? Would you bring your mom in?
Yeah, if she wanted to. I think she's happy in Colorado at this point.
What if your brother was like, dude, I want to put a tiny house on your 20 acres?
Oh yeah, I'd be like, dude, come on. Yeah, of course. Yeah, in a heartbeat. Or if my nephew was like, need a place to stay. Yeah.
Cool.
He's like 15 now or something.
Oh, is he your nephew? Your brother's son.
Yeah, he's fun.
It's cool. You guys playing D&D?
Yeah, we play every week. It's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
I mean, it's kind of weird. Like you don't get that same. I mean, there's no substitute for just being with somebody in person, but Zoom sort of, you know, it works
Right?
and it's fun.
Here we are.
And we're more consistent about it now that we don't have to meet up in person.
Yeah, it's
So
easier
there's sort
to
of that like weird trade-off where we do it more often, but because before it was like once every 3 months or something. Now it's every week,
cool.
which is great. And we're actually running 2 campaigns, so we're switching off DMs.
Cool.
Me and these guys have been playing D&D together for, you know, I played with my brother since fucking 1984 or something, and then played with the other guys back in the day. So it's cool to be playing with them again.
I appreciate that.
It's like a lot of times we play and we're just like bogged down and shooting the shit and like hanging out rather than playing. You know, it's like I think we all recognize the value of that.
But you don't actually live that far from your brother and some of those dudes, is that
No,
true?
it's like 45 minutes away.
So, I mean, maybe in phase three, you could have them over at your sweet new place and you guys could do it in person.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. I would
I
love
would,
that game.
what's that?
I would love to go to that game.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun if you visited.
Yeah. Oh
Look at
man,
look at how big the sweat has gotten.
I know it's way bigger. If you go in the video, there you go. It's like a sweat bra.
I'm just lactating. Don't worry about
Everything's fine.
it.
Yeah, you're melting, dude. Your neck is wet. Like you're suffering. It's so funny. I'm like just chilling here, like, oh yeah, it's like 66 in the garage.
There is a little bit of a breeze, but it's so infrequent. And it's like, ah, oh, okay, that's over.
Oh man. Oh man. That makes me miss Bike Order Warriors.
Yeah, I was
Oh
missing it pretty hard the other day because I was
yeah.
just thinking about it. I was thinking about just how Google directions were so bad
Yeah.
sometimes, and like that wicked dirty. We went up to that gate that one time, and
Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
to you broke your bike because you had to yank it off the fence real quick, and the dude who we interacted with, who was like super dirty, but also just completely like so relaxed.
Like, couldn't be less concerned than what the fuck my bike was doing or anything. He just was like, I'm so dirty, I don't care at all what is happening. I'm driving away. And he drove away. That's all that happened.
Yeah,
I was like, oh sorry, but also fuck wait, what happened? Oh, it was
like, yeah, sorry, no.
and the lesson was I should have waited like 30 seconds. Like, what the fuck?
And the Petaluma shit, like just in the like driving rain, windy rain, cold rain. Just,
Oh, when we ate at
oh
did
god.
we walk to dinner like it was to like what was it?
Yeah, we
Bushman's?
wanted to go to Lagunitas Brewery. And
Oh, right. Oh,
and it was
was it raining on the way there?
no on the way back. Was that trip? Am I thinking of a different trip?
No, let me think. It's like we can almost pull
We had to do Blood Alley.
37 all the way back. But did we do it there and back? Yeah, we did. We did
Yeah.
37 both ways.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that episode. Yeah, that was one of the most brutalist.
And it was like we walked to go, or we wanted to go to Lagunitas Brewing, but it closed
Like
like
8 p.m. on
8,
Friday.
like something fucking stupid. It was Friday. It was like closed at 8.
Yeah.
So we went to Cattleman's or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I remember getting back to the campsite and just being like, man, that was super hard to like. This whole day has been super challenging. And then just thinking to myself, like, fuck, we gotta like go back tomorrow. There's always the like, oh, we gotta go back. But for that trip, it was just like, oh my god, we have to like, I can't just like take a cab home.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I have to like just fucking go again.
Yeah, and you did, and you made it. We fucking made it.
We made it. It was
Seriously,
it was
that
so
builds
depressing.
character.
It was so depressing, and almost the lesson is like that trip was so planned out, and I sort of wonder like maybe that was the problem.
Was it overplanned?
Over planned, over like thought.
Yeah.
Um,
It was your idea, if I'm not mistaken, to go to
yeah,
that.
it was my idea, and I like set it up, and I was like, this would be great, and fucking blew big time.
Remember the tree came out of the ground?
Yeah, the cheapest shit, man. The cheapest campsite, just sleeping on a fucking driveway with a broken tree coming out of the ground. I mean, it's just awful. And then you compare that to some of the more fly-by-night, off-the-cuff trips, way more satisfying, you know.
Like Briones.
Yeah. Or like even Mount Diablo. Like we didn't get to the top, but we figured out where to go.
It was great. Raccoons stole your phone. There's footage of the raccoon stealing your phone.
Yeah.
Fuck. And then for the super descent video, my camera froze. Dang it.
That's right.
Unfair.
You had thigh cramps.
Yeah, it was like thighs were cramping so bad because I had stopped training. I wasn't trained for that. I wasn't ready for that. That's it. There's some honesty. I had not
You weren't
trained.
trained?
I wasn't prepared for that trip. I thought I could do it. I wasn't ready. Even pushing my bike off of it, my legs were cramping.
But why was I ready? I mean, we were both in the same
No,
training level, right?
I don't think so. I don't think my training had maintained. I think I was doing other things.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think because when I train a bunch, the cramping doesn't happen. When I train less, there's more cramping. Go crazy.
Mm.
You know? So I was trying to pedal up the hill, couldn't get off the bike. I'm pushing, it's still cramping. And I'm like trying to. I was so fucked.
Pushing down on your leg with your hand, with your arm.
Yeah, with my arm.
Like,
And that's when I was pedaling. And it was like, I'm not in good shape. I was really fucked up. But then it was like we like saw the campsite. We're like, looks good. Scrolls down. It's like there was a bathroom and a fire pit and like it's like
yeah, it just worked out. The least planned trip worked out better than the most planned.
Yeah, I sit, and then I'm able to move around. I'm not like in pain around the campsite. It just was like I got in the hammock, did some sleeping.
Yeah.
Did a lot of downhill cruising, made it home fine. So it was like, but goddamn, cramping. But then the craziest cramping ever was the backwards trip with Tim, which is the 45 minutes, the longest episode ever, which was which brings back to earlier, you were like going so fucking fast. I would like struggle to catch up to be like, hey man, how's it going? You're going so fast. Tim's behind me and you're way ahead of me.
Mm.
Tim is slim and he rides bikes all the time. And you were like,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was like subconsciously competing.
Well, maybe you were. Yeah, tell me more.
I don't know. Maybe that was the thing. Like, I know Tim is like tip top shape. He's clean living. He's like, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Totally straight laced. I was the oldest one of the three of us. Maybe I had something to prove. I wasn't thinking of it that way, but
prove the shit out.
It's easy. It's easy to imagine that.
Most of the footage is of you in front.
Yeah, Tim was later though. Tim was kicking our ass like later that night.
But then you see me suffer the longest because I'm cramping, and there's like
that's right
12 more miles to go up and down rocky hills, and it's like in the dark, and it's like miserable. Then we finally make it and have a big fire and the big feast.
Yeah, dude, that's the most satisfying part is the cool down from the arrival. Like made it to the destination. Like tomorrow is another struggle. That's going to be another thing. We're gonna do that. We'll be fine. But we've proven that we can do tomorrow because we did today.
Yeah.
And but Tim was like, he got something in his eye, like right when we got there.
Yeah.
He like had something in his eye, and it was for like 40 minutes. And it was just like, fuck, man, you okay? It was shit.
He was really struggling. Yeah.
And then when we rode back, we went that fucked up route back into Crockett, where we went on the Pacific Ave or whatever it was. The one that went by Mordor. We went by that like
it was
chemical factory or something.
Down. Yeah, it was too much up and down basically. It was hilly as fuck.
And it was like right before we got to downtown Crockett, it was like we had to pass fucking Sauron's temple factory, Mordor, just industrial. And it was so off-putting. And I remember Tim was like, man, that was like the worst. Like he was really vocal about how that was just a bad experience. And then I was like, yeah, that was. It sucked. I thought it would be cool to ride along the coast, but it wasn't because that factory was so off-putting.
Yeah. But it makes me thirst for the Bike Order Warriors. I'm almost like, because if I'm not mistaken, you're flying out for the Labor Day week, and we have plans to go to the wilderness. And
Yeah, that's
if
fine.
there's some Burning Man thing to go to, maybe we will go to it. If there is not, I think we should already have something else booked.
Is that end of August?
It is, well, Labor Day weekend. It's the week leading up to that. So actually, I think it starts the last day of August and goes into September, I believe.
Oh, right. 30th. Labor Day is the 7th.
Right.
Um, yeah, Labor Day is the 7th. So you think I should come out there on the 30th?
Yeah, or 29th.
So that's technically after Burning Man, right?
No, that would be when Burning Man would be.
So Burning Man's 29th through Labor Day?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's more first week in September. It's more first week in September than it is last week in August.
Yeah. This year. Years before, it was more like last week in August, but this year it's
Right.
more like first week of September.
Oh, right. Because September 1st is the Tuesday. That's why Labor Day's on the 7th. Okay. Yeah.
So we I think it would be cool if we made a booking somewhere for that period.
Starting on the 29th.
Maybe the 30th. Let's see. Let me look at the calendar.
Yeah, 29th is Saturday. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
28th. Oh, well, yeah, 20th is Saturday, 30th is Sunday. Monday the 31st would be the first day of Burning Man. September 7th would be when everyone would be waiting in line to.
So do you want to actually go to Black Rock Desert and see?
This is what I think we should do. I think we should get on Hip Camp. I think we should get on the national camping sites. I think we should get on Camp Diem, which is one of that app right there.
Camper Diem?
Camp Diem. And I think it would be cool if you downloaded that app, and it would be cool if we booked a place, maybe even two places.
How do you spell it?
CAMPENDIUM.
Oh,
Campendium.
Campendium?
Campendium.
So Burning Man's canceled.
Burning Man's canceled. I think it would be cool if we booked maybe two different sites, maybe one site that we could go and have a thorough adult, you, me, Adam, Evan experience. And then if we have that booked, it's great. Say we learn that there is going to be a sizable party at the Black Rock Desert. Might be cool to spend 2 nights there and then go to our campsite.
That would be cool.
That's sort of my thought. If there's no party, then we'll just go straight to our campsite and we'll have lights set up and we'll listen to house music and we will perturb our consciousness.
I'm down with uncertainty. I like I'm not sure about the others, but I'm down for like just exploring, seeing, oh, is there anything there? What's going on in Black Rock Desert?
Yeah.
Anything? Nothing? It could be so hostile to get there that it's just not worth it.
Well, if there's cops and guns and we won't go. That's fine. But if it's like there's a couple RVs and a couple of cans of beer, like maybe we'll go over there. I seriously think it would be cool to like maybe book something that is not that far, maybe even like semi-proximate to that space. And then
So we could like reconnoiter and check it out.
right, this would mean maybe like the attempt of going to Black Rock Desert might be a night of camping that is not the best and somewhere unideal. But then we would leave and go to cooler places. You know what I mean? It's like
Should we get a trailer?
Here's the twist to the plot.
We're getting the what did you call it? The trailer, the camp. What did we call the trailer last time? The kitsch.
The Sitchin.
Sitchin.
Mm-hmm.
Sitchin.
Here's the twist of the plot.
Yeah.
Remember how I was talking to you before about how that we had got the stimulus and sold our van, and we were planning to buy a van.
Yeah.
So I thought of this a while ago, but then sort of on her own, after I said it and she didn't agree, Rebecca was like, I wonder, because life's going pretty fine with the car she has. She's like, actually, maybe we don't need a van. Maybe it would be cooler if we had a trailer. So at the moment, there's no rush. We're not like, there's no deadlines that would guarantee anything, right? But the money that we were thinking we needed a van for, we're sort of living the life that with the truck and the car, it's basically, we don't need a van also. So
just buy my van.
Or a van instead of a car. It's basically like Rebecca's life is working just fine. It's like if we had to take the dog somewhere, we would have to move some stuff. So whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the hugest deal. So we're thinking, what if we got like something like a fifth wheel or a smaller travel trailer that was older, cheaper, about that, around that amount of money I was talking about.
Like $2,000, $3,000.
3 to 4. Maybe 19.
So a little, not a hovel on wheels.
No, not a total, like the Sitchin. If you like sneeze too hard, it might fall over. I mean, it was so wobbly and you couldn't stand in it. It was just terrible.
It was janky as fuck.
This would be more like could sleep 4 to 6.
Oh, okay.
iNet converts to this. The city turns to this, and then there's like a queen
pop
bed.
outs, awnings.
Definitely awning. Probably no pop
hookups.
But we're talking hookups, shower, kitchen.
Yeah, for $4,000. I mean, yeah.
Beds, hookup, shower, kitchen. So basically like 20 feet, maybe a little less. Kind of what we're thinking.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's
bigger than I thought. But yeah.
The thing is, the driveway space we have to store it is 20 feet. So that's kind of all you can go. If it's hanging out in this like sidewalk, I think that's illegal. So you have to like smash the fence, and that would just complicate things, So
you store it at Adams.
Actually, that's might be against the rules in his community, but that's a decent idea.
Oh yeah.
That's actually interesting. If it was bigger, potentially we could think about throwing it at Adams. But a 20-footer we could have at our place, and we could, if it was at our place, we could use it for other stuff while it was parked there, for sure.
Right. You could fucking Airbnb it.
Right. And my mom could stay there when she came to visit, and you could stay there when you came to visit, among other things. It's like it would be an investment, and it would be an investment intentionally for Burning Man. Like, we're not going to get a tent trailer because a tent trailer can't withstand Burning Man. Rebecca gets it that it's not worth it.
Yeah.
We need to have a real trailer. We can put stakes in the ground.
You need rigid metal poles.
So, yeah. It needs to be. So that's what we're talking about, a real trailer. Maybe a fifth wheel, the one that hangs over into the bed of the truck. And then actually that's where the queen bed is usually.
Right.
So
I think that's a good investment because, I mean, you'll have
there was one online
25 years.
There was one online from the mid-'80s. It had solar panels that ran the fridge and the lights and the fan, but not the air conditioning. That's that wouldn't work. But it was
Air conditioning is rich people shit.
It was $2,800 for the whole trailer. It had new tires.
Huh.
And it had the solar system with 2 marine deep cycle batteries and a power converter and a charge controller. It was like running
Huh.
for $2,800. Of course, it was a trailer from the mid '80s.
Right.
With perfect, some dings, maybe some leaks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Leaks, you don't want leaks in a trailer. Leaks are bad. Also, people are really nervous about plumbing. The thing is, I can do PVC. I'm not worried at all about plumbing.
You've done the shit conduit replacement.
No problem.
In Nagelfar.
Yeah, so plumbing of any type. What I don't
Love
want
that story, by the way.
framing and leaks. I don't want to deal with that, but I'll do plumbing,
Right.
new tires, whatever. Yeah. But so I can deal with a certain amount of problem, but it's like, yes, there's a few trailers on Facebook and Craigslist in this price range now of the type we're talking about. It's fun. So we're thinking about that, and I don't know when it would happen.
Yeah, with the stimulus check, I mean, you have 2,400 free fun bucks to throw at this thing.
Plus, we sold the Vandra.
Oh, okay, right. How much did you sell it for?
Well,
okay, that's fair. That's a fair price.
Yeah, that's about. I think that's what you paid for. So, totally fair.
Yeah.
Drove it away fine, and like I drove it around, and to make sure it was cool before we sold it, like on several occasions.
Yeah.
To make sure it was cool, and it was cool.
So $3,600 you have towards the new trailer.
If we get just a travel trailer, we don't have to spend several hundred installing a mount and all that stuff, because I already have a tow hitch. If it's a fifth wheel trailer, we have to have a fifth wheel trailer mount installed,
Right.
and then a trailer brake system. But actually, either require a trailer brake system. So I'm gonna have to spend at least like $100 getting a trailer brake system installed on my truck.
Yeah, you have to sort of decide what's going to last longer, the truck or the trailer. And if it's the trailer, then you want something that'll be compatible with like your next truck, your next car.
Which would probably be another truck, honestly, because of the pool business. So it's like
just so functional.
Cybertruck would totally tow a 50. So, yeah. I don't know if it would do the tightest of angles. Maybe it would. But in any case, so that's kind of the thought. And if it happened before this time in September, then we could potentially bring that. And then we would have a fridge, and we would just, we'd have a generator, but we would be hooked up, essentially. We'd be a fridge, and there'd be AC, and there'd be beds, and a table, and a stove. You could make some delicious deep fried mushrooms or some shit. I could see you with your bandana on, and you're like chopping things to put into the dip, and you're making a sauce.
Make mushroom, psychedelic mushroom omelets.
Whoa, hey yo, for breakfast.
That happened last Burning Man I went to.
Oh fuck yeah! You found those?
I was doing that with those Aussies.
Oh, they made them, or you made them?
We all made them together.
That's adorable. Okay, I just got an image now. We parked the trailer at some cool campsite, and there's a fire pit and a table there still, so you can still do like fire pit and table things. There's also like a bed and a fridge.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. I think you could spend more than a couple nights like hiking, and shit talking. It'd be cool.
That would be cool. And you're ready to be off the grid. I mean, like a trailer is sort of, it's like training wheels for being off the grid.
It is. Off the grid training wheels. It has wheels, literally.
And New Hampshire is amenable to all this shit because live free or die. Everyone's very pro freedom up there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
There's some, it has its problems, but there's no sales tax, which is nice. A lot of people from Massachusetts are moving to Florida. because of the tax differences. But I'm not a big fan of Florida.
Yeah.
So humid and
Myriad
like,
stories come out of it.
it's like hot and way more humid and just more politically fucked.
Well, it's like woman on mysterious drug bites her twin sister's neck.
Yeah.
Rushed to the hospital.
Rabid alligator kills clown performer.
Yeah. So, or you can have 20 acres in New Hampshire where you occasionally see some dangerous birds. Huh?
Yeah. Or you like, you have 3 kids, you buy them all Tesla stock, 1 share of Tesla stock each, and then you buy a lot of land in New Hampshire, a lot. So 1 lot. You buy 1 lot of land up in New Hampshire. You just keep it in the family. That appeals to me. Like sort of investing in the future. My parents didn't do that, but maybe that's why I'm attracted to it. The idea that you can sort of, invest in America and your children sort of reap the benefits of that. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm a patriot.
Hear that.
What about your brother's birthday party?
Yeah, man. Are you coming down for that?
2 trips, 1 month apart for that?
Whoa. July 10th it's more than 1 month apart. July 10th is the Friday. We're going up there. So if you got here early on July 10th or say late July 9th, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the pool shit out of the truck and maybe likely the whole band and potentially Adam are going to go. And then if that's the case, we would take 2 vehicles and we're going to go up to this place and have a great weekend of partying and fun, as well as film a music video for Alterum.
Oh, that'd be cool. I'd like to be involved in that if I went.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Dude, seriously, we could use a camera person for that activity.
I think it's cool to have yes and. So you have like, let's say 3 cameras set up in the old Gradient fucking studios style where you have 3 stationary cameras that are all iPhones and you switch it back and forth. But if you have those 3 stationary cameras, and then you also have like 1 or 2 dynamic cameras where there's actually someone behind it and they're like doing glam shots and getting in your face and stuff. It's sort of like that's all you need for a music video.
Exactly.
You could put in stock footage and other things, but I think it's like you don't need that many angles. And if you have some stationary angles and some live angles, I think that goes a long way.
Agreed. That's all we're talking about getting. It's probably 2 iPhone stationaries and 1 Hero GoPro 5 Black. We have 1 of those in the arsenal as hopefully the person moving around with, but then 2 to maybe 3 stationary iPhones.
Yeah,
That's
I love the idea of like stationary iPhone, maybe above the drummer or something.
Yeah. From hanging from a tree, literally, like someone get a ladder up, strap it to the tree, turn it on.
I do like the close-ups.
Here's the thing: we won't have Wi-Fi. We will only have power. So we can't use switcher. It's going to have to be a post thing.
Right. Well, I told you that I figured out how to use Open Broadcaster Studio.
Oh yeah, so maybe we could
open source software which can be
without
used
the internet because you don't need Wi-Fi to do it.
Right, you just need lightning cables.
Shit.
And then with you just need more wires. One of my favorite things in life.
That's interesting.
More USB wires. And
well, I have a couple of those really long ones. Remember?
Yeah. And so you don't need Wi-Fi. You don't even need switcher.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So, are you coming?
You would need to like aggregate the footage together, of course, later. But
Yeah, but you'd still be able to sort of.
July 10th. That's like right around the corner, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's right around the corner. July 10th,
Shit.
11th, and we go home the 12th. So we say Friday night, say Saturday night, come home
I
Sunday night.
I
I
guess
would
I
still
wouldn't
have.
need. I would need to take. I would not need to take that much time off. I would just, maybe a Monday and a or Friday and a Monday or something,
You'd fly home on Monday, basically.
or Thursday, Friday, Monday, probably. Yeah, man, it's possible. You know,
You could even be working remotely for like 2/3 of that,
that's true.
like on the plane and in Pinole before we leave,
That's
and on the way
that's
until
a
we
good
get.
point. But it would suck. It would suck to be working, like
Okay, yeah,
you know.
I hear that.
But
I'm just
yes,
saying, you work in the truck while we're going 80 on Highway 5.
I haven't really taken any vacation, so I don't think it would be a problem.
Fuck yeah, dude! If you want to bring all that shit, then I will threaten my band with someone like producing this at some angle. That could be pretty fun.
I'm so hesitant to be the producer guy
Well, then we can.
because of discouragement. I think I was scarred by the Nilotep thing.
Yeah,
Remember
I
how
would.
I was so fucking gung ho about like, let's record, like, oh cool, oh
Mhm.
man, new friends, these guys
Yeah,
are really cool,
you did everything
love
right.
it, awesome, let's do
You
some
did almost
recording,
everything. Yeah,
and I just felt like everyone was like, what the fuck, who's this guy?
right.
Why is he? What?
I think Nilotep does
I
that
was
to
like, I was
everyone.
like too naive or something. I don't know.
No, you just were unaware of the eccentricities of the needs of the individuals involved. I mean, your spirit was fine, and most of your actions were pure. I think the personalities couldn't handle. I could handle the rate of increase, or the just topic in general, because it's like basically the era of the time was like, we're so cool. We're not sure what to do with how cool it is. And you're like, well, we could do this. And they're like, oh, but this would be why that would be hard. And then the problems of it would be these. These would be those problems. And so any idea would have been met with
A
that.
clash of mindsets.
Yeah. You were like, let's do something. And they were like, I'm not sure if it would be good.
Yeah,
Yeah. So then let me back up and say this.
yeah.
It would be really cool if just you came to my brother's birthday Reading property camping trip. And we're going to be filming a music video. If you want to be involved, I'm sure you would improve whatever you did. To whatever degree
Cool.
that is good, it's good.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Rich people shit.
That's good shit. Yeah.
Seems like your brother's just fucking crushing it.
He's building houses in the Reading area, Shasta County, all the time.
Like he's just totally booked up.
He's booked up. He's working all the time.
Awesome.
He has a crew. Yeah. Building houses.
And he's done tiny houses.
Yes. He still has his shop where he built the tiny houses.
Oh, I see. A separate thing.
Yeah. So that's cool. But so right by his property, there's a creek or a river that apparently you could get in, but he thinks would be colder. And then a short drive away is a lake where it's like warm with boats and stuff.
Nice. So you've not been there yet?
Now I've only seen a couple of photos. I've texted him about sending me more photos. He hasn't responded. But in any case, should be fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you came out twice, that'd be super fun.
Yeah, it would. It's almost like I should move there.
Yeah, you should bring your job over here and come live in the tent in our super awesome garden in the backyard.
I think a lot of companies are realizing that on-site work was a sham, or not a sham, but I'm conflicted about the whole work from home thing because you sort of want to have a home life and a work life. You know, you sort of want those to be separate, so you don't start blending shit together psychologically that doesn't need to be blended together.
Yeah.
At the same time, it is pretty nice to be working from home and just, uh, you don't have to get dressed up or whatever. Uh, I don't know. The golden age is like, I think we're going to realize that a lot of institutions are outdated, and just sort of the structures of certain institutions are maybe not optimal.
Yeah.
I don't know though, but I'm excited. I think it's golden age. A lot of people I talk to, a lot of my friends, very liberal, very lefty, very, very cynical about what's going on. And I can understand that. And it's kind of odd to be the non-cynical one. You know, I'm so used to being the cynical one, but now I'm like all optimistic.
Well, I mean, I think, my friend, on that note, it is 5:01 p.m. and I'm gonna just say, I think that's a fantastic point to end on for a wonderful, heartwarming, delicious podcast.
Yeah, man, this is fun.
Yeah, I think that this is very successful. I think, uh, what did I call it? What did I text you? The, bridging the nap. That's it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Bridging the nap. Yeah.
So like right now, I have to go wake my kids up, or
Yeah, like
they're
you could do like you could do that. You could have a podcast that's just like sort of parenting tips. Like
but it's during the kids' nap, like
like
literally.
like I don't know shit, but this works for me.
I mean, that could be fun, but it's like
Yeah.
the thing that I think is funny is that bridging the nap. To me, it's very temporally based. It's something like, while the kids are in the nap, that's when you have like a couple of moments to like try to do something that isn't focused on what they're doing, and maybe it could be some like cool adult connection or something. But yeah, I've got to like go make sure their like butts aren't filled up with food.
Sounds good, man.
I appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you. This has been awesome. I love this.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I'm almost thinking let's plan on nap time next week. So how's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Do that, man.
All right. Good night. Love you.
Love you too. Peace.